Yeah, so there's a tennis tournament going on now in Australia, and four players dropped out because of chest problems, and one is having problems. And it says
Yeah.
the panicked organizers of the Australian Open now blame poor air quality, which appears to be targeting only some players. Melbourne's air quality is ranked as good by international standards.
Believable.
Mm-hmm.
Believable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying unbelievable anymore. It's all too believable. Seems legit.
You know what I noticed? People who live, and it's not only them, but it's like I noticed this is very, very distinct among them. People who live in countries that are under the banner of the Queen, countries like England, Canada, South Africa, Australia. They're not all of them. I can't say all of them because for some people listening, they're probably going to be like, "Yo, that ain't me." But a lot of them, they're so into this whole thing of like, you know, putting stock into institutions and reputability and officialdom, and everything is like pomp, and like, how could it be that like an entire industry would collude to this, and how could it be that this and that? And I'm just like, well, it could be, and it took years to plan. Like this one guy I was talking to, he's like, "You're saying that all these people, and like no one, you're saying, and people are not able to come out and like blow the whistle." I'm like, the ones who do either get threatened or fired, or they are moved onto alternative social media platforms. I don't know if you notice. It's just like
Yeah.
they can't fathom the monstrosity of the coordination. They just can't imagine it. They can't even like it's too, as Jordan Peterson would say, monstrous to imagine. Monstrous.
Yeah.
It's just
Are you recording? Are you
yeah.
recording this brilliance?
I'm recording. I am recording it. No, it's just like they can't even. I don't know. I mean, it's one thing just to imagine it based on nothing. It's quite another to be able to imagine it when you're seeing what you're seeing. I mean, for me, it's not that difficult. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's difficult. I don't know why it's so difficult to make that leap for people. It's again, it'd be one thing if like there's nothing substantiated, nothing was happening. It's just we're coming out of nowhere and saying, yeah, everybody's conspiring.
Well, I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just like people truly don't believe
Mm-hmm.
in their own mortality, like they can't really picture it,
Yeah.
right?
The,
I mean,
the,
they
the
hear about
enormity
it.
of the day that whatever. Yeah.
They, they can't really like
Mm-hmm.
imagine how
Yeah.
there could be a time when
Yeah.
you know. So, in that same exact way, I think it's very much related
Mm-hmm.
that people cannot really relate to the idea of a deep evil that wants to hurt and kill them.
Yeah. Not just the deep evil, but something
It's
something
the
like
same
very
thing.
coordinated, something very like a lot of people, and I was talking to this guy. I go, it's not because he was like, he thought I was casting aspersions on workers, like the who we call the frontline heroes. I said, no, I'm talking about the protocol makers. I'm talking about politicians. I'm talking about those guys. They're bosses, man.
But hold
Everybody
on,
else,
hold on, hold on. There's
eh,
more. There's
what?
more. So one of the other reasons why people can't perceive of such a thing, or
Mm-hmm.
they can't accept it,
Mm-hmm.
is because it would force them to ask questions about themselves. We're like, wait a minute, somebody wants me dead? Why?
Mm-hmm.
It's that why they don't want to look at.
Yeah.
Because they're worried that because by looking at it, that means that they would have to
Address it.
address it, and also they would have to come in contact with the idea that there's more than they have to do more than just exist in
Yeah.
order to be accepted
Yeah.
in this world. Meaning, like, there's more to life than just existing
Yeah.
in the simple framework that that they're comfortable with.
For sure.
They didn't think that there's something that is required of them in order to be left alone to exist. They didn't think that they had to work to earn the right to exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, of course, that nobody. If the fact that you are here, God put you here, that shows you that you have the right to exist. God wants you to be here,
for sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But what I guess if you're not thinking of it, if you don't have God, right?
Yeah,
then
that's what I'm saying. Assuming you have God, that makes sense what you're saying. But if you don't have God, then
no, I'm saying if you don't have God, then you could be brought to the point where you could actually begin to doubt whether or not you should be allowed to exist.
Yeah.
And you don't want to face that. And that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
These people, they are arguing that you shouldn't exist.
Yeah. Because
you're not good enough.
Who's arguing? You're talking about Schmab, right?
I'm talking about the Dark Lord.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to start with that.
Nano. We're going to nanobots. We're going to make everybody into nano, and then the wearables, we will not even have... You won't be able to afford a suit for wearables, and you'll sell the wearables on eBay because you don't have...
To participate in commerce,
you got it up, but...
So that kind of... So if you don't have God telling you that you're here because it's my will, right? You don't have to question whether or not you have the right to exist, okay? And you don't have to question whether or not I give you divine rights, divine human rights that no mortal can take away, right? But if you're not listening to that, if you don't take that seriously, then you're vulnerable to having a bag of shit, like in a suit, telling you whether or not they think you should be allowed to exist.
Yeah.
And you could be vulnerable to that.
No, vulnerable meaning you won't even realize that that's what he's doing.
No, vulnerable to where you would actually, even for those who realize what he's doing.
Yeah. Be like, okay, vulnerable, that makes sense.
Vulnerable to maybe he's right.
Yeah.
Right? So nobody really wants to look at that because you take these people seriously. So now you have to begin wondering about yourself. What is it about you that makes them not want
people literally ask, like, I've had friends ask me, like, genuinely, not like to be, whatever, connected. Why would anybody want to do, not that, but why would they want to harm us? I have a friend ask me, for example, like, why, if they wanted to do X, Y, and Z, they would just, like, poison the water or gas people. I said, that would be too damn obvious. After probably the millionth person dying from that would be way more obvious than the plotting athletes. You got to do it. You got to do it under the guise of helping people, supposedly, allegedly, right?
Also,
they can't.
The benefit of doing, there's a benefit. There's a big benefit to doing it the way that they're doing it, where they put the blame on the person themselves.
Yeah, you elected to take the stuff. I didn't force you.
Right. So what? So give up your job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nobody forced you to what's it called?
It goes back to the. To that stand-up routine by Louis C.K., where he's in hell and he's in the waiting room waiting for his hell to begin, and then some demon comes up to him and says, like, do this horrible sexual act on me, and then and then the real demon, the one who's assigned to him, comes to him and says, "What are you doing?" He goes, "What? I thought I was supposed to." He goes, "That's Freddy. He's not assigned to you." He goes, "Yeah, but he told me and he said to do it." He goes, So what? So tell him no. Right? He's like,
it's funny because that's actually mamish, like a convoluted version of we're told what the Yetzer Hara does. It gets you to do the thing, and when you do the thing, it accuses you of doing the thing. It makes you feel bad about it.
Right? No. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Who's the Yetzer Hara? He's that jerk kid who convinces you to go smoking, right? Like during class somewhere. Right? Then when you do it, and he does it with you, right?
Yeah.
Then he goes to report on you.
It was him. Yeah.
Right. Look what this guy did.
Jesus, man,
right?
it's like the ultimate, like, ugh.
And then after everything, then he goes and he carries out the punishment, whatever that is. Like he delivers you the detention.
The tattletale, he tattles on you, and then he was the one that whatever.
Right.
It's so crazy.
Like you've been suspended. Here's the letter. Your mother has to sign it. That's the guy. Right. So, but this is what we're saying here is that these guys, they're just trying to get you to hurt yourself, and they convince you to do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then when you hurt yourself, they'll be like, well, you don't have to listen to us. Nobody twisted your arm. Yeah, but what about my job? Okay, well, so what? You get another job. Like that's how you are. That's like you're that cowardly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like your life. We're talking about your health care, and you decided to forfeit. I don't even feel bad for you. You forfeited your health for a job. Yeah. You know what I mean? That job would have fired you if it thought it could make two cents more. Than the value that you bring. Yeah. Right. So
on a very functional level, I also think the people that can't imagine it I don't even think they understand what's going on in terms of, economics. From economics perspective, right now there's a big shift from human power. This is a real thing. I'm speaking right now. I'm not conspiracy. I'm speaking like reality. Human power to automation. So if half of production, or I don't know, I'm just giving you a number, right? Half, 75% of production is going into automation, methods. You don't need people. It goes back to the whole thing of it's ironic actually. Why did families have all these kids, even like Christians, non-Jews, for the farm, to till the land for the farm, right? I mean, it's a joke. It sounds like a joke, but that's, so now if you don't have, it's kind of like, what's his name? Schmates just bought a bunch of farmland, right? How do you think he's going to till it? People? No. Robots. Machines. What does he need us for? It sounds insane. It sounds mamish insane, but, it's like I was talking to this guy and like he's telling me also like, there's like a scientific consensus, and I go to him, never in scientific history, in the history of science throughout human history, has there ever been one person or a handful of people that went against the entirety of the, scientific community, which a lot of times was science mixed together with clergy. Those people have never been vindicated ever. That's never happened. The five versus, the few versus the many has never been vindicated, ever in the history of science. If anything, science has progressed by way of these crazies. Every time. Almost every time. Not by the herd that makes consensus, quote unquote consensus, by one crazy person or 10 crazy people who are yelled at in silence, and then sometimes when they're alive they're still vindicated, sometimes posthumous, after they pass away. That's never happened. Ever. That's what it's like. I hear about this concept, because doctors agree, scientists agree, experts agree. Agree on what? And who's agreeing? And who's paying them? I took your advice. I asked him questions. He still didn't answer them. This person. But at least I asked questions. Who's paying these people? They're conducting studies. Okay, the people who pay for the studies are the same people who bash other studies openly, in like magazines, not in studies, but in like op-ed pieces or something like that. I mean, and then you have two doctors talking on email, talking about submarining, torpedoing a bunch of scientists who signed the declaration. Oh yeah, that's great. That's science for you. That's some real science right there. Yeah, it's like priesthood. It's like mamash. Like you hear, like, I don't know, dude. I hate to compare it, but you hear people in the frum world. Oh, those guys they don't know anything because they don't learn this, and those guys, whatever. They don't follow that guy, and they don't they follow this guy, and they say this and they say that, and I'm not gonna eat their hechsher. I'm not gonna eat I'm gonna go daven. They can't daven with me in the minyan. I'm not gonna this. I'm not gonna go for Shabbos. We've seen this.
Listen, when it comes to convention, right? convention.
Yeah.
That is the Egyptian priesthood. We've spoken on this. Okay? The idea that there is a God, right, that is in charge of all the other phenomenon that they attribute a God to, right? The Egyptians, they would attribute a separate God to each phenomenon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that it was the same God in charge of all this phenomenon, that was, that was loony to them.
Yeah.
Right? It was a revolutionary idea. Just like the guy who said, they would say that lighter than air travel flight would never happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And all the big scientists at that time were, they laughed at the idea. Like every time something very major occurs, it's always despite. it's despite the establishment.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and then the establishment, once they see some success, then they start. Then they kind of like they tag along, but they're still kind of like nipping at your heels the whole way, even as they're tagging along.
Yeah.
Are we not describing the Erev Rav?
Of course.
Okay, it's the same. This is a universe. This is like a universal pattern that occurs whenever a revolution in truth comes to the world. You have this Egyptian priesthood, which tries to interfere with it, tries to diminish it, and then once it asserts itself, because truth is truth, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And even they see it, then they want to tag along.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but they still have their same attitude that they did before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the problem.
Yeah.
That they didn't realize that, like, we were being a bunch of idiots. We were interfering with truth coming out. We weren't living in line with it. We weren't living in harmony with it. We were trying to fight it, suppress it, and stop it because it threatened us. It threatened our way of life. It was unfamiliar and uncomfortable, and also threatened our positions because the way things are right now, we're big shots. But in an environment where we're not the experts, right? Where we are the students like everybody else, right? We hold on a second. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that environment, we're not big shots. We're like everybody else. We don't like that.
Yeah.
We got used to being big shots.
Of
We
course.
like our offices.
Yeah.
We like our fancy clothes. We like the groupies.
Reputable. We like double blind. We like the peer review. We enjoy the peer review.
And our followers
Of our
also
peers.
they need to feel that we
Yeah.
followers need to feel like we know everything, because if we don't,
then who the hell knows?
They'll feel lost.
If we don't know anything, then who knows? Shit, we're screwed.
Okay? So that's what interferes with progress in the world.
Yeah.
That includes not just spiritual truth, like understanding that, like God, if you were to compare what happened in Egypt on a spiritual level, that's like someone finding the unified field theory, the theory of everything. Physicists, they're always looking for the theory of everything, right?
Or
Right?
Eugene Hoods would say, super theory of super everything.
Yeah, one little equation that will explain that you can extrapolate all phenomenon that we see, that we observe, and it fits with this mathematical equation. Well, we have that. It's called Yud Hey Vav Hey.
Yeah.
And I'm almost certain that will be the actual field.
So with that said, I want to read, if I may, if you will permit me to, and then we can talk about it, or you can expound on it, because you probably.
I'm drunk with power at this moment. I'm gonna relish in it for a moment, and then I'll let you know what my decision is. Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. Wow, that was like a long deliberation. Slightly shorter than the Novak Djokovic deliberation by the Australian government. Yeah. In any event, so this I read to you.
I knew I was in the wrong the whole time I was saying it, so I tried to hurry it up.
I read this to you before, but now I actually wanna for the listeners.
But can I ask for it to be different this time?
What?
Because you read it so fast.
Yeah. I'm gonna read it very slow. You
you made Ben Shapiro.
I know. Ben
seem
Shapiro
slow.
look like Ben Stein.
Like somebody slow.
Ben Stein. Ben Stein. Bueller. Anyway.
Yeah, you made Ben Shapiro sound like Ben Stein. Exactly.
Yeah. First days. All right. So this was written by a wonderful gentleman. He lives in Kohav Yaakov, Israel, the Star of Jacob, Israel, in the I guess you can call it Binyamin area, Shomron area, what our detractors would call the West Bank. And he is a retiree English speaking person from America, and he makes amazing exposition based on the Sod part of our wonderful Torah, and he lines it up with current events and history, and I find it to be very incredible. And I just want to read to you something that and to the listeners, something that he wrote back in November about the times we're living in. Actually, Dafka, what we're living in now and what we can look forward to. So here he goes. He goes.
Hang on, let me. So
yes.
This is. Let me get it. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Dov Bar Leib.
No. Put in. Yeah, you could do that, or you could do Dov Bar Leib. It'll come up. End of days blog or yearsofawe.blogspot.com, and it's a. But I'm gonna read. I'm not gonna read the November 1st. Yeah.
Monday, November 1st.
I'm not gonna read the full post. I'm gonna read starting from a particular from a particular point. Because okay. That's actually the emphasis that Okay.
Where are we starting?
On the bottom where he talks about, I think on a basic spiritual level, Asaph realized. You found it, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here he's talking about basically the whole timeline of I guess the founding of America, what it was based on, and then the culmination in terms of when Daddy Bush, 41, since this is episode 41, became president, and what happened, because you and I talk about it a lot, in terms of that moment being kind of the moment, and so he actually gets into this, in these paragraphs. So I'm going to just read it. I think on a basic spiritual level, Asaph realized where history was headed with the founding of the United States of America in 1776. 1776 is before 1789, when its constitution was ratified. And 1776 is at the end of the 31st century after Matan Torah, the receiving of the Torah, between 1688 and 1788. For the first time, Asaph as a civilization was going to at least attempt to serve God out of love, a true repentance out of love to our Father in heaven. Anyone who has read about the history of the American colonies in the 2 generations leading up to the revolution in 1776 knows about, quote, the Great Awakening, not to be confused with, there's a certain movement today on the internet using that term, and can testify to the fact that the Great Awakening was an attempt to repent to God out of love. I would suggest reading about the Great Awakening in order to fully grasp the spiritual revolution starting around 1730, instigated by people like Jonathan Edwards and George Whitefield, to grasp the extent of the spiritual revolution of the budding American nation as a nation under God, not a nation under Yoshka per se, or as we call him, the gymnast, and how that preceded America as a nation by at least 1 generation. It is in this first Great Awakening that America as an exceptional nation received its mantle and its blessing for success. To fully understand the founding of America, one must first grasp the innovative novelty of this awakening. Now, the reason for its importance is because the Great Awakening was the engine and the fuel for the next 3 centuries, the 31st, the 32nd, and the 33rd centuries after Matan Torah. There goes your 33. There's more about that. If America were to succeed in her mission statement of serving God to bring about never-ending prosperity, not to be confused with the never-ending story, it would have to morally grow and succeed for all 3 of these centuries until 1788. Can
I stop for a second?
Yes.
Never-ending story, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Idea there, and I'm actually being serious for just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Which remind me
okay.
to talk about
Fine.
it later. All right.
Until 1788, from 1789 until 1888, and from 1889 to 1988, when Gog Bush was elected president. That's funny. Well, it seemed to be holding its own until the sexual revolution that I discussed in detail in this recent a previous post. He wrote a whole thing about that. I will not spend a lot of time here discussing the stages of moral collapse that began to occur right after World War I, I guess the Roaring Twenties. But the more notable collapse that began in the mid-1960s is the one that proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that Asaph never intended to fully serve God up to the 33rd level of purity. About two-thirds through that 33rd century, the morality of this once great nation fell into ruin. Maybe it started with the iconic film Rebel Without a Cause in 1955, the James Dean film on rebellion against God that grew from that moment in time, which was almost precisely two-thirds of the way through that 33rd century. America would make it until 1988, but it would be at a point of steep moral decline that had taken root 33 years earlier. The unfinished pyramid. The best way to understand Edom in his twilight is to analyze one of his principal occultic symbols. I basically mention it here because this particular symbol is not just a symbol for Freemasonry or whatever, Shmuluminati. It is on the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States. That is America's officially second most important national symbol, and the fact that it appears on the $1 bill emphasizes this important symbol as a vehicle for serving the God that Americans trust in for the purpose of making money. Now, originally, many of America's founding fathers did not want this to be a symbol of the United States, or at least they did not want this symbol to be on any of America's national emblems. Benjamin Franklin preferred that the reverse of the Great Seal should be Moses parting the Red Sea with the children of Israel crossing the sea with the caption, "Rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God." By the way, there's a depiction of Moshe Rabbeinu in Congress when Bibi spoke there. He mentioned it. He pointed to it. Thomas Jefferson preferred that the front of the Great Seal should be a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day, leading the children of Israel into the wilderness. Yes, these were some real proposals by some of America's founding fathers. All of the themes were biblical themes from Hebrew scripture, but none of these proposals was accepted by the bulk of America's founding fathers. Interesting. What seemed to attract them was a reverse that is strikingly similar to the unfinished pyramid above. What is noteworthy about the symbol is, number one, Novus Ordo Seclorum, the Latin words for the English New World Order, what Gog Bush Sr. declared before the UN at the onset of the First Persian Gulf War in 1990. But number two, what is more striking that if you measure it with a ruler, the unfinished pyramid is precisely cut off at the two-thirds mark. Well, above the pyramid is a pagan eye of Isis and the Egyptian Avodah Zorah based on the actual wife of Nimrod, a subject that I do not want to tackle here, but just to say she rebelled against God just like her husband and controlled Nimrod's world government by using the dark occultic arts and Nimrodian courts, which accounts for the title Diana or Diana, which was her title as the head of Nimrod's courts. Again, not getting deeply into this Isis, but her eye is on the reverse seal of the United States and on the $1 bill. So it deserves a mention lest people think that there is anything kosher about this American national symbol. Then there is Anuit Coeptis, which means supposedly that someone, Isis or God, is smiling on our efforts. What a seal. So here we go. Asaph rises to a level which is equivalent of two-thirds of the way to Sinai, which turns out to be either two-thirds of 49, equaling 32, and two-thirds level of purity, which represents our efforts, quote-unquote, or two-thirds of 50, which is 33.3333 ad infinitum, which is two-thirds of America's attachment to infinity and permanent prosperity. In reality, by studying the history of the 20th century, Edom reached his zenith in the 1950s in America, two-thirds of the way to 49, up to the 33rd level of purity. Then he declared his New World Order 3,300 years after Matan Torah in 1990. But in reality, his New World Order will only last to the 33.33 level of purity, or 3,333.33 years after Matan Torah, even if the last 50 years of this process have represented the Dome in steep spiritual decline. And his maximum use date, or the time of his collapse, is when he, at the 33.33 level of purity, or 3,333.33 years after Matan Torah, at which point he can no longer lead mankind. I did not discuss Evergrande, symbol 3333.HK, listed on the Hong Kong Exchange at this post. If it unfolds, it shows itself to be the linchpin behind the collapse of Karen Kayemet, the so-called stock market, in Olam Hazeh, by Tu B'Shvat. I will write about it in part 3. He hasn't written it yet. But this post covers...
back up a little
Yeah.
So can you explain a little bit how we just slammed into Tu B'Shvat? Can you just summarize what we've read so far?
What he's saying essentially is that we got, just to condense it really, I mean there's a whole background to what he was saying, which I didn't really read, but to condense it really, he's basically saying that 3,333 years from Matan Torah, which is 2448, we're basically in 5781, and then after Rosh Hashanah, which is already 5782, and then 4 months into 5782, he's basically saying that Asaph, or let's say America in this case, is going to see, the decline will, so to speak, start. Because they didn't want to do, Asaph was supposed to have done, I guess, his tikkun, but you see that like in the 50s, right? It's interesting because remember the movie in what is it called? Back to the Future. The year that they set it to was 55. He was in 84. Right. He went back to 1955, and here he's talking about this Dov Bar-Lev in 55, and then another 33 years it was 1988, and then Bush came in. So what he said, and it's interesting because in 55, that's when Eisenhower made the speech about the what's the thing called, the military industrial complex,
right?
Which is we're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? We've been looking at it for the last however many, since then basically. We've been ruled by that thing, the Fed, all these things. I mean, this is real. This is not conspiracy. This is like real stuff here. Yeah. So since then, basically, it's been and then it's interesting. In the middle of all that, if you look at like 67, so you see that 67 happened. The war. The portal of Jerusalem opened up. The Baal Tshuva movement started with the Jews in America and all over the world in 67 officially. The Rebbe started his, his Tefillin campaign. Shortly after, like the more kind of the Litvak Yeshivish people started, Esha Torah opened, like, early 70s, when they wouldn't even think to do Kiruv, Yeshivish people, Litvak people. So it's interesting. Israel started going up, so to speak, and Asaph started, there was like riots here in America, 70s, forget it. There was like a just horrific economy. Then they tried to, like Reagan came in and like revived it somewhat somehow. There was like that 8-year, it's like, again, like my parents even talk about it, the Reagan, that's like their shining city. That's when we came to America, But that was just that flash of light, like you said, it was just a flash of light in between all those years of just like chaos, early 60s, the entirety of the 70s, the flash of light in the 80s, and then after that came Bush, and then that's it, and then you get this decline since Bush, and then into Clinton, and then the whole OJ thing, and since OJ, everything's been just like reality TV culture, and that's it.
So is Asaph the culture? What does that mean? Like
Asaph failed.
Yeah, we have to be able to specify what is Asaph. Is it America, the government, the cult? Is it the culture?
There's. I mean, according to Rabbi Kessin, for example, he talks about Tov Sheb'Asaph and Rasha B'Asaph, right? So I guess according to this, Tov Sheb'Asaph was the founding fathers. Tov Sheb'Asaph, again, Trump tried to tried to bring back Tov Sheb'Asaph, and you see that they're fighting him. The Rasha B'Asaph. Asaph has an internal battle.
But Tov Sheb'Asaph will win.
Right? Listen, even if he comes back for one kind of final flash of light, it could very well be that he will still experience a very, in my opinion, if you ask me, I think he'll experience a slow kind of decline with what I call decline with Rachamim. It's not going to be like this, like horrible, horrific collapse. It's going to be like a slow.
What would be the reason for a decline?
Just listen. You have moral decay. You have people who Just today, I have a friend.
But why would we need any more moral decay? Like how much more?
It's not we. It's not we. There's that idea of when Asaph go. There's. It's like when Asaph goes down, Yaakov Israel goes up. Meaning, we're supposed to lead. We're supposed to lead the world. Israel's supposed to lead the world. You see what's going on in Israel today.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Asaph, all right, a rectified Asaph means that he joins up to assist.
Sure.
Or to participate with the job of Mashiach ben Yosef.
That's correct, but you see what's going on here, that there's Asaph can't get his stuff together amongst himself. There's a fight. They're fighting tooth and nail.
I mean, it looks like there might. I mean, if you look at the news, right? If there's what to be believed, right?
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically,
yeah,
there does seem to be I'm hearing every single day how this Democrat and that Democrat, they're not going to be seeking re-election. Like 10, they a lot of these people could see the writing on the wall.
But then there's going to be new ones. There's going to be new ones, and the ones, the AOC types that are going to become. They're stepping aside for the crazies.
No, I think that they're stepping aside because they see that there's a pushback against everything.
Correct,
there's a pushback against the man.
Correct.
Against the schmandates. There's a pushback against the schmacks. There's a pushback against the whole politics, the wokeness, all that stuff. So, and they see that tens of thousands show up.
You're absolutely right.
And they have to be turned away just to see Trump.
You're absolutely right. This is why the people that are in right now, this Rasha Be'esav, is working as fast as possible to put already the machinery in place. If you ask me, man, listen, I analyze, I look at the economy, I look at different, kind of pieces of the cogs and the wheels in the whole thing, and I've been looking at it for a very long time. There's a lot of things that are in place that are endemically, systemically there to obliterate the system, and it doesn't even matter who's in. It doesn't even matter if you have a guy like Schmump. Endemically, systemically, the thing is designed to collapse, and all we can do at this point is just, get as much, so to speak, out of it, or try to figure out strategies, to kind of, let's say, hedge, for example. That's why people are buying, crypto stuff, because they see what's going on with the dollar. They see that at some point this is unsustainable. At some point, people are going to realize that the dollar, that actual value of the dollar is even lower than what it is, even with the inflation that we're seeing. So, it's just one example. There's a lot of systemic issues.
So what you're saying, you're saying seems to have already been the case. This machinery put in place. It's not been the case.
It's already been big enough, but they're cranking it more. They're cranking it more. They're trying to do this.
What more?
I'll tell you. I'll tell you. No, I'll tell you.
I think we hit rock bottom.
No, we have not. No, they have not, because they're going until, between now and the next. You see, right? For example, they even said, okay, you guys didn't want to pass the green thing and Build Back Better. You didn't want to pass it in Congress. Okay, we're going to take what we can and ram it through via the executive orders. We're going to take what we can. They're going to do as much, as my mom likes to say, they're going to make as much goddess as they can before they leave. They will. And that goddess, the nastiness, the dirt, it will be very, very difficult to remove it, because these will be already, you see, you go to Manhattan, you see green buildings. You can't even the most staunch, conservative can't even go. They've brainwashed people so much for people to think that green is good. You can't be a open person, Republican, openly come out and say, I'm against green buildings, green outfitted buildings. Oh, you prick. There's so many things that are systemically in place already, either physically or ideologically, or in the zeitgeist of people, in the vernacular of people. Even the biggest Republican cannot remove it, And so these guys are just going to keep going with their thing. They're going to ram through whatever they can ram through. And again,
I think that the Republicans that you're referring to, right?
Yeah.
Are also not seeking re-election.
I'm even talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not going to stop America from buildings all over America from. She's not going to reverse green technology or whatever, however much BS is in it,
So for instance, Youngkin, right, the guy who just became the Schmovner of Schmerging.
He reversed the mandates. That's it's easy.
He reversed the mandates. He also fired immediately 30 people from the staff. So I think if that pattern is repeated and scaled up, then it doesn't have to. Then rock bottom could have been, the Afghanistan.
What you're describing, these are very basic mechanical things that you can do, but again, that there's so much work that has been done in the way of just zeitgeist, in the way of propaganda.
But hang on a second. Yeah. I see room.
Yeah.
Okay, when we went to January 6th, okay, that was the height of lying, the height of corruption, the height of of Wag the Dog,
sure,
the
for
height,
sure.
that was the low point,
Yeah.
from my view.
Yeah.
Nothing that has happened since that, aside from, hold on, dude.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, you're right.
Aside from the Afghanistan withdrawal, that was the low point of low points. Okay, so from that point, I believe they effed up. They farted up big time.
The only thing left for them to do, just like they engineered what we're seeing in the past 2 years, they engineered it. We know they engineered it. Now they understand that this is not working. It's wrapping up, right? As of February 2nd, hospitals do not even have to report anymore to the federal government.
The moment Biden said, the moment he said there's no federal answer to this, that's when I knew it was over.
February 2nd done, and now they have to engineer the next thing, which is either going to be a worse Chas v'Shalom thing, or some kind of supply chain thing, or inflation, or something. They're going to have to engineer something now. And then that will be the low point, what you're talking about. And again,
look, I see potential. I see potential that it doesn't have to go down that way.
It doesn't have to.
I see a scenario that is available to play out. That makes Afghanistan the low point, and then it just that's when the pendulum swings to the other extreme.
I can just tell you, no matter what, even if what you're saying is true.
But hold on.
No,
but there's a reason.
No, I know. I'm just want to tell you real quick. There are people who, let's say, they're not following the Torah. They're following other things. Whatever, planetary movements. There's literally people talking about the last time we had anything like this. They're talking about, the planet Pluto, right? Going in reverse was 1776. And they're saying when that happens, it represents monumental changes in.
So when does that happen?
That's February 20th. That represents monumental changes in political structures, good or bad, for better or worse, right? So to be honest with you, man, if anything, it might be towards what you're saying. We may just go back. Either we may just go back to what really the founding fathers intended, like maybe like a spiritual revival in this country, which all they
wanted was for Esav to assist Yaakov in his divine mission.
Yeah. So we might see that, or
that's what I'm hoping for.
Or we may just see like a total revamping of the system itself.
But hang on.
Of the experiment.
That has to happen. That has to happen anyway.
Yeah.
But listen, hold on. What I'm saying is like this. We do not need to see American humiliation and American decline, either in military power or financial power, in order to see Jacob rise and for Esav to assist them in the divine mission.
Rav Kook would disagree with you. I'm sorry to tell you, Rav Kook would disagree with you. I know the Bible Trevor would not. Rav Kook would.
Okay, you know what? I have one advantage over Rav Kook.
You're alive.
I'm here in this time.
I hear. No, but dude,
so you can't even say.
Wait a minute, dude. If you read Orot, he predicted today. You should read his book, man. He spoke.
I should.
Dude, if you read that book, you'll plots because you feel like you're reading it today. You feel like he's writing it today, and then you're like, whoa, this is published in 1920. He was talking about Mamish like today. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's why I'm saying.
I hate that word plots?
What?
Is it weird that I hate that word plots?
Okay, you would fall down out of your chair.
Is that what it means? Okay.
Yes. So, or just, if you took too much Schmexine and you happen to be a soccer player or a tennis player.
It bugs me.
Huh? I know. It just bugs me a lot. It's a very Ashkenazi word. I'm gonna plot. Oh, Marty, I'm gonna plot. I'm gonna plot. I just plot. This is so amazing. I went to see a Broadway play. What did I laughed, I cried, I plots. Oh my God. Anyways.
Right. At this point, that kind of Yiddish makes me think of the birdcage for some reason. I don't know.
Oh my God. Let's not go there, sweetheart. Anyway. We spent too much time in Twilo, so let's scale back.
Yeah.
No, so if I'm telling you, man, like that's why I say it's not Like, you're alive, he's dead, okay, but like, don't take his words, don't take the words of a person like that, especially who wrote something like that, lightly. Because,
come on, you know I'm not going to take his words lightly. I'm just saying that, like,
it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. You're right.
It doesn't mean that he has to be correct on every single point. Remember, we're talking about a human being.
No.
Even the Rebbe was just a human being.
True. But it's a very, very famous idea in Judaism, not just by Rav Kook, that when it's a very famous idea. That's one of the scenarios. When Esav goes down, in order for Yaakov to go up, it's not in order for, it's just the way it is, meaning Esav goes down, Yaakov goes up. That's it.
But hang on a second. That's what I'm debating here with you.
Okay.
So when most of the time I hear the idea of Yaakov going up and Esav going down, right? In their mind, that seems, so Israel will rise and become the economic and military power, and Esav will decline.
These are the American. These are the American.
It doesn't have to be that way.
These are the disgruntled American Olim who think that way.
Right.
These are the guys who live in flipping.
It doesn't have to. My point is that it doesn't have to be that way.
These are the guys who live in Ramat Bet Shemesh since Carter. And they thought that America was going to collapse, so they made Aliyah, and they're like, yeah, America, piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, half their business is from America in their medical billing office or something. Okay?
I don't want America to collapse. I don't want Esav to be downtrodden. I don't want the good part of Esav to be downtrodden and poor and weak.
Well, this is why...
his job... We're talking about Yitzchak's son.
You're right, but
he wants his son to get back on track.
But this is why, for example,
that's our brother.
Our friend Michael Malice says there has to be two Esavs physically. There has to be two Americas. They have to literally just split, and then you'll have normal Esav, and you'll have retarded Esav.
Yeah, but here's the split. It doesn't have to be 50-50.
Not 50-50.
Look, it doesn't have to be. Let evil Esav go to Chicago and New York.
Yeah, no, that's what he said.
LA.
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay, let them have those shit.
Let them go to their cities of Schmefuge or Schmuckfuge, Subterfuge. That's it.
The rest of the country. Yeah. God bless flyover state, right? Yeah. Where all the resources, all the normal people,
all the truckers,
and all the military is. That's the only part that matters anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, keep the cosmopolitans within the cosmopolitan.
You sound like Stalin. Let the cosmopolitans drink their cosmopolitans. Drink their cosmos.
Exactly. let them enjoy their appletinis. Yeah. Okay.
Oh man.
I had a friend who got drunk on appletinis.
Dude.
Fell asleep on the subway and got robbed from his leather jacket.
There used to be an incredible bar. It was partially a cigar bar on 20, I believe 6th and between Park and Madison. I forgot the name of it, and it had probably the best. I'm speaking this as a it's called no homo heterosexual man. The best apple martinis. We're talking about 2006, 2005. Awesome. Best martinis, period. Apple martinis. Yo. And it was dope.
Yeah.
What was the name of the place? Hold on. I gotta find it.
Super gay.
No. It was a place called... New York. Was it called whatever, it was some bar. Whatever. Yeah, I think it closed since then.
I don't believe in cocktails, bro.
I also can I tell you something? I made fun of my friend who invited me that first time. And then I it's one of those don't knock it till you try kind of deal.
If you're gonna drink, feel it.
Oh, this was felt. I could tell.
No, not feel it later. Feel it during.
Yeah, I know.
Burn. Feel the burn.
It was burn.
As they say.
It was. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Listen, but I think there will be something monumental either way.
I think enough negative monumental stuff has occurred. I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with the negativity that has occurred. I have no necessity, either spiritually or
Me neither.
emotionally, to see any more negativity towards my brother Asa.
But you realize these people they have about let's say if they wrap all their stuff up with regards to this kaka next month, and they're gonna have another 10 months or before 9 months really to do maximum damage, and they're gonna want to orchestrate something.
I think that they are at a major disadvantage.
Which
at this point.
What, like internet? Because there's internet.
Because people are now watching them.
For sure.
Nobody trusts them.
I know.
And nobody believes them.
I know.
That's big. That's very different than what it was before when it started.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Even Trump got swindled, essentially.
Yeah.
Because remember, as far as I know he went to the Wharton School of Business.
Yeah.
I don't recall anywhere in his CV that when he went to virology school. Am I wrong?
True. That's true.
Okay. As much as he'd like to think that he's a virologist, he isn't.
Yeah.
Okay. And
you're right.
Unless the only way that a president could have not gotten screwed over at that point with the schmack is if he was mamash a virologist.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to be a virologist in order to not get screwed over there.
No, but this guy, wouldn't he ask questions like, "Tell me about the safety," and let's get into that.
Okay, so
you know what I mean?
So how many people? How many people? Let's say he asked 40 people in his vicinity, and they all.
It's like you're saying it's all like groupthink at that point anyway. So it's just.
I'm saying that whoever his mistake was he didn't fire everybody immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, so he thought that he could work with what's there already, and he thought that he could elevate the sparks out of them. He was elevating sparks. That's what he thought he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay, and he couldn't. That was a mullik. He was in. He came into a mullik. You're not going to elevate a mullik.
Yeah.
A mullik could potentially elevate himself, maybe, but no one's going to go in there and do that. Okay, you're not going to elevate the swamp, the deep, dark Amalek swamp, unredeemable swamp. You have to get those bastards out of there. Just like Morgan Freeman's character in that Lean on Me. Was it Lean on Me?
Yeah.
Right? When he was a principal.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? He was not popular. He took the worst offenders, the criminals, the unredeemables in the school and just said, get the F out of here, and that's it. And close the door. Yeah. And that's when all the political enemies, those PTA evil demons, were nipping at his heels like the whole time that he was trying to make something happen over there, right?
Yeah.
That's what Trump was supposed to do in Washington.
Yeah.
Okay? And the fact that he thought he could make a deal with these guys, right? Is what caused this to happen. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So now that's my take. That's my take on what happened to Trump. Okay?
Yeah.
But he still has the opportunity. There's still a chance, okay, for him to get back to his original job, which is to assist Yaakov not in his materialistic and military and economic ambitions. No, that's not what Esav is for.
Yeah.
Esav dominates military and economy to assist Yaakov in his spiritual mission.
Yeah.
And America is still the one to do it. God bless America.
Yeah.
Okay? And God bless good brother Esav. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
There's still a chance to do it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Listen, I hear.
And that's what it means. That's what it means. Yaakov rises and Esav goes down, in the sense that Esav doesn't go down. He doesn't have to go down because
he demurs.
he's
Is what you're
downtrodden.
saying. Yeah, not downtrodden. This is just demurs, but like
he hands Yaakov the spiritual ball.
The scepter. Yeah. I think. Yeah. I mean, if anything, we're gonna see that soon. Anyway, we're gonna see that soon. You could. I mean, I can sense it. I don't know about anybody else, but I can sense it. Starting with.
You know why? If we saw if we saw Israel rising in its leadership, if we saw that the people who were in charge of Israel were worthy of being the economic and the military leaders, because they were leaders and they were actually representing the people, I would perhaps, reconsider. But we see that the swamp extends deeply into Israel.
Can I ask you a question? What it said, and it's true, that there were these guys in the Founding Fathers group that didn't want the Hebrew scripture and all these things. They wanted dafka, these Masonic symbologies. You spoke about it before, but I really want to get into who were these guys? Like by name, can you name them? And why would they want to keep the symbolic Masonic as a Masonic symbology as opposed to the Hebrew stuff?
So let's get something clear.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin was the Grand High Mason of his time.
Interesting.
He was the top of Mason in America, possibly the world of his time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was definitely a Mason-friendly dude. George Washington was. All of these guys were deep Masons.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Okay, people they want to just kind of mush everything together with the Shluminati and and this Illuminati and that Minati, right?
Yeah.
With the Masons, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
The Illuminati came. It was a movement that occurred in Bavaria.
Yeah.
Okay, the leader of the movement was a guy named Adam Weishaupt. Okay, and he convinced a certain group of people to try to infiltrate the Masonic lodges, okay, with a lot of ideas which frankly were extremely anti-Masonic. Okay?
Yeah.
The Illuminati was all about asserting man's dominance and man's influence and making man ascend to become the god that he wants to worship. It was about deifying man.
Yeah.
The Masons were not about deifying man. The Masons were God-fearing. They believed that you have to believe in a God who was a creator, not the damn devil, by the way.
Yeah.
Idiots out there, okay? A God who created the universe, who supports. They were actually like the Masons. Actually, were kind of like a secret Noahide fraternity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really what they were.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what? Let's go through the Mason. I'm going to look this up right now. You guys would be surprised.
What, the list of who's a Mason?
No. They have these like degrees, right? Like first degree, second degree.
Yeah.
Each degree has a name, which is it's very interesting. Hold on.
But my question is,
I was
guys
researching Masons? What did you say?
No, but it goes back to my question. Like, why would some of these guys not want the Hebrew stuff there?
I'll explain. Well,
Okay.
I'm getting to that. To that.
You're so long-winded, man.
I think that the top guys like Jefferson and Franklin and Washington, right?
Yeah.
They were very Masonic, but they were also very into their identity. Now, this is going to be controversial and surprising, but they believed that they were Hebrew. They believed they were Hebrews.
Mm-hmm.
They believed that they were lost tribes. They looked at themselves as Ephraimites, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. They even sent expeditions to find Native American tribes that they felt were also lost tribes.
Yeah.
They were trying to find they were trying to reunite. It's one of their missions. They were trying to reunite the Israelite tribes. Okay. And they were very. That's why they were very into Hebrew scripture and into the language and into all that kind of stuff. They weren't like when they ran away from Europe, right? They wanted to divest themselves from the Christology, really. Okay, like even Thomas Jefferson, he wrote his own New Testament Bible. He didn't write it. He
edited
it.
Yeah, w
where there is no divineness.
Interesting.
Ascribed to Jesus. Like he ripped out all the. So that's very extreme.
Interesting.
Very extreme.
He almost like Tanachified it.
he Tanachified it. Okay, he wanted, and by the way, they thought, like Benjamin Franklin. I read one of his, when someone joins the Masons, they have like this book that they read, the history of the Masons or how the Masons see the world. And Benjamin Franklin wrote this book. Okay, and he describes. He says the Jews are automatic Masons. That's how he viewed them. Okay, not that they were conscious of it, but there is a similarity there. Do you understand? So even the top Mason people were very well. These particular top Mason people were very into their Hebrew connections. Okay, now not every Mason was. Not every Mason saw themselves as of Hebrew descent. They saw themselves either as Esav, right?
Yeah.
Or they weren't comfortable with the Jewiness that was happening.
Yeah.
Okay? That's
funny.
probably what occurred. That's probably why the decision was made to make them less old, what they would call Old Testament symbology, and focus it more on just the general Masonic symbols.
If Jackie Mason was alive at that time, be like, he's like, the new government, they think it's too Jewish. Too Jewish. Too Jewish.
They felt
Mister,
exactly right.
Mister, too Jewish.
The founding fathers were too Jackie Mason for the lesser fathers.
Do I look Hawaiian? Or the Yentas?
Yeah. And just to let you know, 40. I would say this is not my estimation. I'm trying to remember what I learned. Out of the population of that time of the 13 colonies, right? It possibly as much as 50% of the men were Masons. It was a mainstream. It was not a secret thing. It was a mainstream society. It was a mainstream American foundational culture of America. That was a foundational culture. Freemasonry is the foundational culture of this country. It's not a secret society that infiltrated. It founded this country.
Yeah, it's all the Elks Club and all that stuff, and the
Shriners,
all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. The Masonic degrees. Hold on. You're gonna plot.
Knights of Columbus, Schmalumbus, all that stuff.
Yeah, I was interested in becoming a Mason one time. I was fascinated with these guys and stuff like that. I never ended up doing it because.
Are there a lot of Jewish guys who did this in recent times?
Not too many religious Jewish guys.
Yeah.
There were a lot of Jewish Masons, but not from the Torah. Not too many from the Torah observant.
All I keep hearing is this whole these idiots who come up with the real conspiracy. Oh, Masonic Kabbalah, Synagogue of Satan, all this combination words.
My God. That is the influence of the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Right? So the Catholic Church was from a political standpoint. I'm not talking about the doctrine of Catholicism. I'm not talking about simple faith believing Catholics. I'm talking about the institution that of the Vatican and that whole political structure that they were involved in. We're deeply against America. We're enemies of America from the beginning.
Yeah.
Them and the royals they saw America as enemy number one.
Is that why it was such a big deal when or was that mostly for more kind of ethnic reasons? It was such a big deal when JFK became the president. He was the first Catholic president.
I think that was definitely an issue. Okay, even though it may have not been he wasn't really necessarily such a.
Yeah, I mean he was Irish, so what can you do?
He wasn't that into his Catholicism.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and even his Catholicism was an Irish type Catholicism.
Exactly, as we can see.
Right. So.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Happy birthday.
Oh man, everybody's upset about Epstein.
I'm not even doing an impression.
Dude, everybody's upset about Epstein bringing women into Clinton's thing, into Clinton's, Oval Office. Like, do people have any idea what went on with Bobby and John? Do people have any faintest idea? They turned that place into like, you know, remember that show USA Up All Night?
Something sounds familiar.
Whatever. They turned that place into freaking Showtime Cinemax. Skinemax.
Skinemax.
They turned that damn place in the 60s. Like, it became insane. And I'm not, these are not like rumors. What I'm saying right now. People are like, oh my God, Epstein, bro. Epstein was a spy for Mossad, supposedly, allegedly. He wasn't there for poops and giggles. Maybe Clinton Bill was, but anyway.
Okay, so
you were saying.
I think I found some. Okay, so hold on. So this is a complete list of the Freemasonry degrees. I don't know if I want to commit to this article. Hold on. The status of any Freemason can be identified by his degree, which represents the steps he has taken from the lower ranks up to the highest degrees of Freemason knowledge. Nowadays, there are many different kinds of degree systems all around the world, including symbolic degrees, chapter degrees, historic degrees, and more. Okay, the standard, widely accepted Masonic rite has 3 degrees. They are entered, apprentice, and fellow craft, and the highest rank that anyone can earn is Master Mason. Okay, a common alternative, the Scottish rite, has 33 degrees, including these 3 standard rankings and 30 other supplementary degrees, which we will list below. Okay, standard Freemasonry degrees, entered, apprentice, the fellow craft, the Scottish rite. Okay, there's a link here. If it'll work, it'll be very nice. Damn it, it didn't work. Okay. 1 second. Lodge of Perfection. Okay, so you have the standard 3 degrees, and then you have degree summaries. Lodge of Perfection from 4th degree to 14. Okay. 4th degree is a builder. 5th degree is perfect master. 6th degree is master of brazen serpent. Master the brazen serpent. That's interesting.
Interesting. Huh.
Okay. When the children of it, listen to this. Oh my God, this is crazy. I never got this deep into this. Listen to this. 4th degree. Well, let's start from the 4th degree. Trust me, I think this is worth it. People want to know. Okay. This is the 4th degree. A Master Mason seeks divine guidance. Philosophy. Brothers grow together in Scottish rite. Core values: reverence for God, integrity, and service. Okay. Sounds very ominous so far. The 5th degree. Perfect Master. 2 sons of Aaron, corrupted by greed and ambition. This is the Christian view of Nadav and Abihu, by the way. 2 sons of Aaron, corrupted by greed and ambition, when they did the foreign service, right? They were so, in reality, they were so holy, and they were so attached to God that they could not wait to bring the offering when God said they wanted to bring their offering, like even before it was required, right? For that they were killed, right? But of course, there's a lot of the Christian influence in Freemasonry, even in the view of biblical ideas. But still, listen. So the 2 sons of Aaron, corrupted by greed and ambition, terrible, allowed the sacred flame to extinguish. Okay. So, and then philosophy. Trustworthiness is more valuable than life and is the basis of Masonic honor. Core values: reverence for God, justice, and integrity. Okay? Ominous. 6th degree. Master of the brazen serpent. When the children of Israel encounter a rough and dangerous journey through the desert, they rebel against Moses and God. Philosophy: the answer to the spiritual problems of mankind is faith in ourselves and in God. Core value: reverence for God. So, all right. So 7th degree, provost and judge. A dispute among the workmen where honesty and justice prevail. Philosophy: we should render justice to all mankind. Core value: justice and integrity. Okay. 8th degree. Intendant of the building. Based on the Old Testament story of King David and his assignment to his son, the future King Solomon. Okay, the philosophy of this degree is this degree reminds us that we each honor. Hold on. degree reminds us that each honor we receive requires attention to a particular duty. Core values, service, integrity, and reverence for God. Okay, I'm developing a pattern here. I'm seeing a pattern. Ninth degree, master of the temple. The temple of King Solomon is dedicated by priests of many religions. Philosophy. We should not be too zealous in executing justice. Core values, reverence for God and service. 10th degree, master elect. King Solomon learns of his sentence from which there is no appeal. Okay. Philosophy. The violator of his obligations to God will not go unpunished. Core values, reverence for God and justice. Okay. 11th degree, sublime master elected. King Solomon's tax collectors violated the public trust. Philosophy, when confronted by corrupt, tyrannical, or illegal behavior on the part of persons in authority, the nation should remain loyal and courageous. Core values, integrity. Okay, 12th degree, master of mercy. Joseph forgives his brothers for selling him to slavery. Philosophy, we are taught forgiveness, compassion, and brotherly love. Core values, justice, integrity. 13th degree, master of the ninth arch. The degree dramatizes the dangers encountered as men search for the lost word. This is, by the way, the men that they're referring to are the Knights Templar digging around in the Temple Mount.
Yeah.
Okay? They're searching for the lost word.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay? They realize that these are Christians who realize something is up, and they're searching for more truth. That's basically what was going on at that time. Now, okay, 14th degree, Grand Elect Mason. The essence of symbolic masonry is compiled in lessons of the Lodge of Perfection. Philosophy members are encouraged to worship God at the altar of their choice. Core values, reverence for God.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Should I continue? I think we should do the whole thing.
Please.
People should know.
Please, yeah.
Okay, 15 through 16. Okay. A council of princes of Jerusalem has the responsibility to confer the 15 to 16 degrees, which are referred to as historical degrees. These degrees explore the conflicts and politics in the rebuilding of the Temple of Solomon. 15th degree, Knight of the East. This degree teaches us to emulate Zerubbabel, who, even when tempted, would not violate his obligations. Zerubbabel was that Ezra? I think that was either Ezra or Nehemiah. I'm not sure. I have to. Or was that Daniel? Can you check it up, Zerubbabel?
What do you want me to look up? I'm sorry.
Zerubbabel. Who is Zerubbabel? Was that Daniel or was that Nehemiah? That was another name.
1 second. Well, governor of Achaemenid's empire, Yehud Medinatan, the grandson of Jeconiah, penultimate king of Judah. The first group of Jews murdering 42,360 who returned from the Babylonian captivity in the first year of Cyrus the Great, the king of Achaemenid Empire. The date is generally thought to have been 538 to 520 BCE. Laid the foundation stone of Second Temple in Jerusalem soon after.
Governor of Yehuda. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm mixing something up. Okay, fine. Okay, so, all right, fine. So the 16th, okay, so Zerubbabel. This degree teaches us to emulate Zerubbabel, who, even when tempted, would not violate his obligations. Okay, 16th degree, Prince of Jerusalem. The court of King Darius contemplates what motivates man. Philosophy, we learn that devotion to truth surpasses secular motivations. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Devotion to truth surpasses secular motivations. Core values, reverence for God. Okay. 17th to the 18th degree summaries. By the way, the Illuminati was completely against reverence for God. They were more about asserting man as God. So, okay, a chapter of the Rose Cross has the responsibility to confer 17th degree these are philosophical degrees. Okay. 17th degree, Knight of the East and West. Degree dramatizes a picture of human failure and social and moral behavior. The book of life is sealed.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like Yom Kippur. Okay. The book of life is sealed. That's purely Jewish.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, So 18th degree, Knight of the Rose Cross of HRDM. I'm not sure what that stands for. The teachings of Jesus of Nazareth are used to exemplify the universal principles of life. Philosophy, the book of life is open. The new law is a law of love, which all men everywhere may understand and practice. So that's the Christian influence. Okay, in Freemasonry. Okay, so 19 to 32 degree summaries. A consistory has the responsibility to confer the 19th to 32nd degree. These degrees demonstrate the challenges of social and moral conflicts. 19th degree, brother of the trail. Along the Oregon Trail in 1840, one pioneer lives up to his sacred obligation to care for his brother. Philosophy. A Mason's word is good as gold. Any place in the world where a man's word still counts for something. Okay. Core values, reverence for God and integrity. 20th degree. Master ad vitam. Benedict Arnold seeks pardon for his treason. Philosophy. Treason is a crime over which Masonry casts no mantle of charity. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They don't seem to look kindly upon treason. Okay. 21st degree. Patriarch Noahide. This is why I wanted to read this. Okay.
Yeah.
Knights and nobles come together to punish crime, reward virtue, protect the innocent, and provide aid to the needy. Philosophy. Freemasonry is not a shield for evil doing. That's what the Illuminati wanted to use Masonry for, to shield it for their, anyway. So, Patriarch Noahide. Okay, just listen to these words, these ideas, these concepts. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Okay, 22nd degree, Prince of Lebanon. A brother is introduced to woodcutters who test his willingness to put aside his rank and status. Philosophy, honest work is honorable and noble in the sight of God and man. Okay. 23rd degree, Knight of Valor, based on a true incident during World War II and the heroic actions of 4 chaplains. Okay. This degree teaches us that faith in God will find expression and love for our fellow man, even to the ultimate personal sacrifice. Core value, reverence for God, tolerance, devotion, country, and service. 24th degree, Brother of the Forest. A Native American petitions for membership in a colonial symbolic lodge. Philosophy. The importance of tolerance and Freemasonry is a universal brotherhood. Core value, tolerance. 25th degree, Master of Achievement. Industriousness is shown through the life of Brother Benjamin Franklin. Philosophy. The wages of a Mason are earned and paid in their dealing with one another. Core values, devotion to country and service. 26th degree, Friend and Brother Eternal. 2 officers, while on opposite sides of the Civil War, maintain their Masonic principles. Philosophy. Masonic unity and harmony transcend conflict. Okay. 27th degree, Knight of Jerusalem. A historic clash between Pope Honorius III and Emperor Frederick II. Philosophy. When tensions arise between church and state, one must be governed by his own conscience. 28th degree, Knight of the Sun. Masonry's transformation from an operative guild to a speculative moral fraternity. Because Freemasonry used to be literally for Masons, master, people who were actual, they did, okay. So the working tools, philosophy, the working tools of the builder's art are used to express unique qualities of moral instruction. 29th degree, Knight of St. Andrew. An incident in the long wars between Islam and Christianity in Europe is resolved by Masonic teachings and tolerance. Philosophy, no one religion has a monopoly on truth. Core value, tolerant. Wow.
Yeah.
30th degree, Grand Inspector. A 14th century trial in the English civil court during the reign of Edward II is conducted. Philosophy, to be attentive, impartial, and equitable in judging others. Okay. Justice. 31st degree, My Brother's Keeper. While attending St. Andrew's Lodge at the Green Dragon Tavern, brothers Warren and Dawes come to the aid of an injured brother.
Interesting.
The degree reinforces our call to service in a fraternity. Okay. And 32nd degree, Sublime Prince of the Royal Secret. The degree dramatically teaches us to choose between personal advancement and service to humanity. Philosophy, the degree represents the victory of the spiritual over the human in man. core values, devotion to country and service. Sounds really messed up, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
I got the heebie-jeebies listening to it.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's like a kitten
Yeah.
wearing Mr. Rogers' little home sweater, crawling out of a slipper. Okay, that's about as, like, when I was researching this stuff, I was terribly disappointed because I was expecting to find something really ominous, something like, whoa, these guys are messed up, that kind of thing. I was like, these guys make me sick. They give me cavities with all their, with all their integrity and all this crap, So I'm just saying, it was disappointing when you're expecting to find something like evil and like controversial, and then you're like, why the hell is this secret? And they're not secret. They're just they're not about spilling the beans. They keep each other's secrets. You know what I mean? They're not blabbermouths. The secret means don't speak lashon hara. That's essentially that's their view of a secret fraternity.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just it's kind of a universal type of religion based on serving God and your fellow man and country using ideas from various religions. It would seem mostly Judaism. Am I wrong? Am I crazy here or not? There's not that much. There's mostly Old Testament Judaism. There's some Noahide stuff. There's even a degree called Noahide. Like, why?
Yeah.
That's okay, crazy. And then there's the Christian thing here and there. Now, obviously, they use Egyptian symbology and they use Greek symbology and they use like whatever they can use to kind of deliver a message.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's Freemasonry. I think they get a bad rap, and they seem to fit in to. They could easily be Noahides, like like the Jewish view of what a Noahide's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this institution of Freemasonry can be slightly tweaked in order to be perfect Noahides. Barely any work has to be done at all to convert this from Freemasonry to Free Noahides.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Ger Toshav, essentially, with a couple of minor little edits.
It's crazy.
Okay,
it's so
and
crazy.
they seem open to it, by the way. Right, like their stuff, like they even said like no one religion has a monopoly on truth. Right? I mean that idea alone will give them a seat at the table.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah.
Okay, so so that's all I'm trying to say. I thought that would be interesting. So, how did we get on this, by the way?
No, I asked you about the guy. No, so like you were saying, it was just getting too Jewy for those guys, but
yeah. So you see that there's a lot of Jewiness in Freemasonry, right? But since most of them were Christians who didn't see themselves as long lost Hebrews, right? They thought that it was a little too Jackie Mason for the general public. That's why they chose less Jewy and more kind of universally accepted Freemason symbols. Okay, so the symbols that they chose were Freemason symbols. Like everybody was comfortable with them, except that Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and George Washington, they wanted to push it a little bit more to the Jewish side.
Yeah.
And not everybody was on board with that at that time.
Yeah.
When I say Jewish, I mean, Hebrew, Israelite, that kind of thing. So, we should probably say a word or two about Tu B'Shvat.
We should.
Do we have anything to read? I know we could start.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to still figure out this whole idea of why, not even why, but like, what is this idea of like New Year for the Behema? I understand New Year for trees and like this whole Israel thing and planting trees and all this kind of stuff, but what is this New Year for the Behema situation? What's that all about? Why does an animal need a
let's
new
start
year?
with where you saw that. Where did you see that?
It's everywhere, just Chabad, different sources.
I mean, it'd be good to work off of something.
Here. I'll tell you exactly. I mean, it's different here. Yeah, just let's go with here. Hey, hold on. I'm trying to get okay. Hey. Beast. Okay. So, I mean, you have like. Hold on a second. Oh my God, it's not even like. I'm trying to get the right terminology. New Year for the beast, right? Okay. New Year for tithing, yeah. So this is an organization called. Okay, never mind. That's I don't want to read from that. Christians for Israel. Not a fan of that. 1 second.
I got something. Do you mind if I read it?
Sure, please do that. I just was having trouble just finding something basic. I don't know why.
Okay, Tu B'Shvat Basics.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
That's the name of the article.
Yes.
Okay, this is on Kabbalah Online. This is one of the Chabad websites. Okay, this is Meet the New Year for the Trees by Yerachmiel Tillis.
Yeah.
Okay, the meaning of Tu B'Shvat. The 15th day of the Jewish month of Shvat is the official birthday for trees in Israel. Okay? Calculating the years of a tree is necessary for several of the commandments of the Torah, naming Ma'aserot, tithing, of each year's fruit, and Orla, forbidden fruit of a tree's first 3 years, and Revai, redemption of the fruit of a tree's 4th year, and Shemitah, sabbatical year. So Tu B'Shvat, by the way, Tu that's an acronym for 2 letters which are represented as numbers here. So Tu is the letter Tet, which is 9, and then the U part is a Vav with a dot on its stomach, which makes the U sound, right? Yeah. So Tu, so that's Tet Vav, Tu. Yeah. So it just means 15. That's the number 15, B'Shvat, of Shvat, or in Shvat. Okay, so Tu B'Shvat. Okay, so let's see now. The 15th day of the month of Shvat is the official birthday of trees. Okay, we said that. Second. Tu B'Shvat is considered the beginning of the year for trees because it is the midpoint of winter. The strength of the cold becomes less. Okay? The majority of the year's rains in Israel have fallen, and the sap of the trees starts to rise. As a result, fruit begins to form. Fruit that was already ripe is known to have been nurtured by the previous year's rain. Okay. The Tu B'Shvat celebration. The Code of Jewish Law states that on Tu B'Shvat, fasting and eulogies are forbidden, and all penitential prayers are omitted.
Oh yeah, that's right.
No tafnan. One of the most important authorities, the Magen Avraham, adds in chapter 131:16. It is the custom to eat many different kinds of fruit. The Kabbalistic celebration of Tu B'Shvat that originated in Tzvat involves eating particular fruits in a specific order. The word for order in Hebrew is Seder.
Dude, your phone is a little bit. I feel like you're either far away from the receiver or it.
How's that?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So the word for order in Hebrew is Seder.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, the Kabbalistic celebration of Tu B'Shvat that originated in Svat involves eating particular fruits in a specific Seder, specific order, and reading mystical passages appropriate to each of them. It was first recorded in Pre-Eitz Hadar, which is a 50-page pamphlet arranged by a student of the Arizal, of Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, who lived from 1534 to 1572, who was the greatest Kabbalist of Svat. Okay, since not everyone can always find 30 fruits that are appropriate, set out below are the primary 12 fruits recommended for this Seder, corresponding to the 12 possible permutations of God's four-letter name, along with related verses and themes to focus on while eating, which we have substituted for the lengthy Zohar passages of the original. Okay, so here are the guidelines of Tu B'Shvat, the observance. Gather a bunch of Jews. each one should help with the preparations, including researching something to say during the meal. Buy as many different fruits as you can. Okay. Make an extra effort to obtain the 12 listed below in the section marked the first 12. Also, buy at least 2 bottles of sealed kosher wine, 1 white, 1 red. 4, bake or purchase cake or cookies or anything tasty that is made primarily from wheat flour. Okay. Set the table festively, tablecloth, candles, flowers, etc. Be sure each participant knows which blessings to say before and after each food. The proper blessings are very important and are printed in every Jewish prayer book. Begin by serving the cake and saying the blessings for it. On this occasion, the blessing over fruit should be said over one of those for which the land of Israel is specially praised, like in the book of Bamidbar, from chapters 2 to 6. Okay. Actually, no, I apologize. That's not what it says. Forget what I said. That's not the right. That is not the right reference. Okay. Now, okay, so I'll say it again. On this occasion, the blessing over fruit should be said over one of those fruit for which the land of Israel is known for and praised for, either the one for which you have a strong preference or the one nearest the top of the list. So basically, the four things: grapes, olives, dates, and carrots. Right? Is that those are the 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Okay.
Can I just say that I made Aliyah 2.0 just before COVID, just before Tu B'Shvat, January 2020, and I went to. Hello? What is that noise?
Sorry, that was me eating popcorn.
Okay, I thought it was the powers that be. No, that was the last time.
That was me.
I probably went to the dippiest Tu B'Shvat Seder known to mankind. I didn't know it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be a little bit hippy dippy, but it was very hippy dippy. And it wasn't in Achlot. It was in a place called Hadassah in Kerem. Yeah, it was like super hippy dippy, and like some of the people there were from like like that. There's a place called Pardes, the yeshiva.
Yeah.
Some people were there. There was like 2 rabbis there from like some like Anglo rabbis, Reform, Conservative something, and I'm just like, where am I? Am I in Israel? What is this? Am I in like America? This is insane. But like some of the people were actually people who grew up like frum, but like kind of hippy dippied out in the Nachlot. But they went to this event. It was interesting. I was just like, okay, I need to. At some point, I was like, okay. It wasn't even like a thing where like I even saw a potential, you know what I'm talking about. Like there was no. I was just looked around. I was like, yeah. There was no kesher there in terms of meeting somebody. You know what I mean?
Like something flaky's going on here.
Something insanely flaky's happening here, and it's too you know, as much as I'm one of these people, like sometimes I'm not that I'm flaky, but I'm into the, how should I put this, I learn you know, the mystical side of Judaism, Kabbalah, a little bit shtickle astrological interest here and there. Don't get me wrong.
That's the anti-flaky.
Yes, no, but I always fancied myself like, you know, like the hipster who works on Wall Street kind of guy. That's me. You know? And so I could kind of relate with both groups, but then like when either group gets, you know, when I find myself confronted with the extreme element of either group, I can't. You know, when there's like the Chads in Wall Street, I can't do that. Personalities, and then there's when these like hippy dippy, like off the reservation nachlot situation, I can't do that either. I'm somewhere in between those two groups. You know what I mean?
It's weird. It's weird that, you know, the image that Kabbalah has nowadays.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
If you're gonna use
I know.
let's say a metaphor to understand the Kabbalistic fraternities, what they really are, what they always were.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Knights of the Round Table, rather than, you know, than the hippie, you know, artist colony. You understand? Like the Knights of the Round Table, the closest to the king, the most devoted, the ones who are involved, the 100%, who are all in. That's who the Kabbalists were. You know, they were. You know, but now, you know, I guess because of the way it's portrayed, it's odd. It's a very odd development. But anyway.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's true.
Yes, sir. So let me finish reading this article. There's some good information. It's practical, sure. Okay. So now, okay, I was reading number 8. Okay, on this occasion, the blessings over fruit should be said, again, over those which grow in the land of Israel, especially the ones that Israel is praised for in the Hebrew scripture. Okay, that would be olives, that would be dates, that would be pomegranates, and figs, or carobs, I'm not sure. Okay. Actually, no, there's more than, there's a bunch of them. There's wheat, there's, I don't recall all of them off the top of my head. I am not proud of that. Okay. Now, the first cup of wine should be poured at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right? This mimics in some ways the Seder, the Pesach Seder. Okay? The first cup of wine should be poured at the beginning. You may recite the blessing and drink it between the cake and the fruit, or after reaching the grapes. Okay. Having a good time, but don't be too lightheaded. This is a unique opportunity to effect awesome spiritual rectifications. Okay. He's going to get to that. Now, the first 12 fruits of the Seder, what are they? Wheat. Wheat is the basis for our sustenance, as it says in Psalms. It talks about it in Psalms 81, Psalm 104, Psalm 147. But only after we labor to grow, harvest, and prepare it. Barley, although not included in the order of the meal, is one of the 7 fruits for which Israel is praised. Often used for feeding animals, its designation for the Omer offering inspires our efforts to harness our animalistic tendencies. Clue, that's, you know, to your question. Right? About the behemoth, right?
Yeah.
Its designation for the Omer inspires our efforts to harness our animalistic tendencies. Okay? Olives. Olives yield the best of their oil only when the fruit is crushed. Olive oil floats on top of all liquids. Okay, see Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 16.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3, dates. Dates are often a metaphor for the righteous, as we can see in Psalms 92, verse 13, and Shir Shirim, Song of Songs, chapter 7, verse 9, as the date tree is both lofty and fruit-bearing. Can I stop for a second? I wanted to contribute some of this Torah learning and any positive effect that it has on anybody in the world.
Yes.
To go towards the Refuah Shalema of my uncle Felix.
Oh, man.
Falik Ben Esther Ben Tira.
Refoil. Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So as the date tree is so one more time. I'm sorry. Dates are often a metaphor for the righteous. We see that in Psalms 92 and Song of Songs, chapter 7. As the date tree is both lofty and fruit-bearing. Okay. Also, as the date tree is impervious to the changing winds, so too are the Jewish people. Okay. 4, grapes. Grapes can be turned into very different sorts of food. They could be raisins. They could be a drink like wine. So too, each Jewish person has the potential to be successful in some aspect of Torah and mitzvah observance, and to be special in his or her own way. See also Psalms chapter 20, verse 4, and Prophet Hosea chapter 9, verse 10. Okay, 5, figs. Figs must be picked as soon as they ripen, for they quickly go bad. Similarly, we must be quick to do mitzvot at hand before the opportunity spoils. So see Song of Songs, chapter 2, verse 10. Pomegranates, 6. Pomegranates, it is said, have exactly 613 pips, kostочки, like seed, right? Equal to the number of mitzvot in the Torah. Try counting. In any case, it says that even the least of Jews are as full of merit as a pomegranate is full of pips. See Song of Songs, chapter 4, verse 4, and chapter 6, verse 7. 7, etrogim, Hebrew for citrons, right, are considered to be an extremely beautiful fruit and are of great importance at Sukkot time, as you can see in Vayikra, Leviticus 23, verse 40, and commentary. Okay, the etrog remains on the tree throughout the entire year, benefiting from all 4 seasons and unifying them.
Just to give a shameless plug, my partner and I sell an etrog liqueur to stores.
Really?
We distribute an etrog liqueur called Sukkah Hill from California, made in Newport, California. It's next to Los Angeles, and it's a husband and wife, and they make etrog liqueur. They make besamim liqueur. They also make 3 types of whiskeys: a spiced whiskey called Cali, what is it called? They call it cask strength, which is a higher alcohol content one. It's called Riptide, and there's a regular whiskey called Mavericks that just came out with as well. So it's 5 products that we got from that, besides the wines we got from Israel. So one of them is the etrog liqueur. We primarily actually get orders on Sukkot, but we also get a good amount of orders just during the year. People enjoy etrog liqueurs, like aperitif, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Pre-dinner or even dessert, stuff like that. So yeah.
How do I get a bottle of that citron?
You can even order it online. Total Wine carries it. We're not the ones that brought it. There's a bunch of Total Wines in California. I think they have it in Florida. I think. We're not the ones that brought it there. We're on the East Coast. We're on the upper East Coast. We're on the Northeast, guys. Hold on. Sukkah Hill. I'll tell you, if you're in Miami, you can get it at something. 1 second. Hold on. Etrog. Oops. Son of a gun. Here. Yeah. He has locations. I'm gonna tell you. Artisanal liqueur handcrafted. 1 second. It's been reviewed by a bunch of these different magazines all over the country. But I'll tell you the location. Products mixing up. Fine Sukkah Hill liquors. Okay. Florida. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. There's stores. Come on. What is this nonsense? You maps, people. Total Wine, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. There's another few. Here you go. Son of a gun. Where's Florida? Oh, he's giving me California. Hello, Florida. Florida, where are you? There's a bunch of places in Florida. I'm just trying to zoom in, and it's not. Oh, there we go. It's not letting me do it. Here we go. Miami. Sunset Corners. 8701 Sunset Drive, Miami, Florida. I don't know. You should call before. And there's one in Boca. Total Wine Boca. 5050 Town Center Circle. You can get it there. And then I'm sure there's more. You should call up all these different, the kosher. They probably carry them. Because this might not be updated. There's two West Palm Beach. Total Wine Palm Beach Gardens. And Total Wine North Miami. Biscayne Boulevard. So you can get that place. So you could probably order from there like either delivery or pickup, whatever. And they probably have the etrog. Yeah. So but yeah, I would call these kosher places and ask them if they have it in your area.
I will do.
They most likely
so
anyway.
Back to Tu B'Shvat.
Yo.
I really could have used a bottle of that citron because I know
I totally forgot to.
That's the only thing I couldn't find.
Yeah.
Edible etrog.
Now that you mention it, I should go to. Oh wow. Okay, if I have time. Actually, they might be closing. Whatever. I'll probably go to T-Nike and pick up a bottle of my own stuff. Actually, I may have it here. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
Okay. So we're in the middle of the 12 most important types of fruit to have on Tu B'Shvat. So we just read about etrogim, right? Now we're going to number 8, apples. So apples take 50 days to ripen. So too, the Jews ripened and still ripen during the 50 days from Pesach to Shavuot, right? And just that's Sfirat Omer, right? And just as the apple tree produces fruit before leaves, so too do Jews perform mitzvot without the prerequisite of total understanding.
Yeah.
It's because we said we will do and then we will hear, right? Yeah. Exodus chapter 24 verse 7.
Yeah.
That's an interesting number, 24/7, right?
Yeah. There you go.
We will do and hear 24 hours a day, 7 days.
Yeah.
We will do, then we will hear 24 hours a day.
First days. Yeah.
Yeah. And also it brings a similar idea in Song of Songs chapter 2 verse 3. Okay, number 9, walnuts. Walnuts are divided into 4 sections corresponding to the 4 letters of God's name, Havaya, and the 4 legs of God's chariot. See Ezekiel chapter 1. As walnuts have 2 shells, which have to be removed, one hard and one soft, we too have to undergo both physical and spiritual circumcision. See Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 6.
Yeah.
Okay. 10, almonds. Almonds signify enthusiasm in serving God, for the almond tree is always the first to bloom. This is why Aaron's staff sprouted specifically almond blossoms. It describes that in the book of Numbers, chapter 17, verse 23, and also in Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 11 through 12. Be sure to catch them. Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you really quickly, as you're reading this, I find myself I'm listening to you, but I'm also looking at the LinkedIn page of World Economic Forum, and they posted a video of something. It says on top, 1 second, I just saw it. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? Okay. No. Something about, here you go. Which is actually interesting. By 2010. By 2050, we'll have 10 billion mouths to feed on a finite planet. Tuck into something that could change the world. So now they're talking about, here you go. They're talking about 7 foods you can eat to save the planet. Number 1, algae, full of fatty acids and antioxidants. They're also carbon negative, generating oxygen as they grow. They want us to eat algae. 2, lentils.
Dude,
Listen.
algae and I eat
Lentils.
algae
Listen,
and I eat lentils.
I know lentils have a climate of less. The carbon emission less than beef. They need little water to flourish. Are rich in iron. Yeah, okay, but it's bad for whatever. Number 3, fonio, a millet with a nutty flavor, nicknamed the lazy farmer's crop because it's so easy to grow. Fonio thrives in sandy or acidic soils, taking only 60 to 70 days to mature. 4, okra. One of the most heat and drought-resistant vegetables in the world. Okra is packed with beta-carotene, zeaxanthin, and lutein. Moringa. The miracle tree is fast-growing and drought-resistant. Basically, they want us to eat what they want us to eat, and they're gonna like engineer some kind of like a climate thing artificially. See, nutrition powder, vitamins A, B, and C, iron, and amino acids. Spinach. We're gonna eat all this stuff, and screw you. Popeye's favorite snack is loaded with vitamin A and iron, and while these guys elite eat whatever they want. It grows quickly in cool places. 7, mushrooms. Mushrooms.
Go ahead.
Will flourish where many... No, there's just like a whole things. Will flourish well other foods can't. They're rich in protein and fiber. Make great taste substitute for meat. The planet could have almost 10 billion mouths to feed by 2050. Really? Only 10... you would think more. Oh, that means they're going to kill some of us. Interesting. Okay. It's interesting. What do you think?
I think it's interesting, and I'm getting pissed off. Can I tell you why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I hate when they are trying to associate themselves with my stuff.
I know. Well, the citric oxide gets it first, man.
Go back to the first thing that you read. What was the first item on that list?
Algae.
Okay. So here's why I like algae, and I wish that the word algae never came out of their mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but just on a side note, just because they said toilet paper doesn't mean you're going to stop using toilet paper. Correct?
Yeah.
Just because they said, "Oh, it's a good idea to use toothpaste," does that mean because they said it, you're going to stop using toothpaste? No. Everything that they say, that just means the citric oxide gets it first.
Yeah.
Or they're trying to ruin it.
Yeah.
Algae is good because I don't want to eat living creatures. I have a problem with it. It makes me feel bad. It seems unnecessary to me to harm a living creature.
Mm-hmm.
God gave it life, and I'm not going to assume that God put that strange creature so that I can eat it. I'm sure a lot of people love the thought of that. We call those people idiots. I do.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'd rather leave a living creature alone with the assumption that I don't have a full understanding of its purpose and that it deserves the life that God gave it. That's just me. Okay?
Yeah.
So, but I do want that omega-3 fatty acid. That's healthy. That's important. Most people say, "Oh, you gotta take fish oil." No, you don't. You know why? Because where do fishes get it? They get it from algae. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the next item on the list?
It wasn't a list. It was like a video that I was watching as lentils. Let's say.
Okay, lentils.
Yeah. I don't remember all of it.
I'm not the hugest fan of lentils.
Me neither.
Taste. My wife loves them, but they are extremely nutritional.
Yeah.
They're dense. They fill you up. They're satisfying. They got good amount of protein. It's digestible protein too, by the way.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, not all protein comes.
Yeah.
So you can eat something that has protein. How much of that protein are you actually getting into your blood?
Yeah.
That depends.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, as you go down this list, all of those things that they mentioned so far are awesome things that people should use, but not because they said it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's almost like they know that because they said it, people are going to think it's lame and get away from it. So it's almost like they're real. What they're really trying to do is get people not to benefit from those things.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so that's whatever. That's just how I feel. So let me finish the list of the things.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on almonds.
Mm-hmm.
Before we said walnuts. Now we're on almonds. Almonds. It signifies enthusiasm, serving God. For the almond tree is always the first to bloom And this is why Aaron's staff sprouted specifically almond blossoms. It says that in the book of Numbers, chapter 17, verse 23, and also in Jeremiah, chapter 1, verses 11 through 12. Be sure to catch the pun in the original Hebrew.
By the way, can we call this episode New World Seder?
I think we can do that.
That'd be
I think
cool.
that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And dude, I got some crazy bombs, to just kind of tell you at the end. It's kind of, to me, it's mind blowing. Okay.
Cool.
Number 11, carobs. Carobs take longer to grow than any other fruit. Okay, there's a nice story about this in the Talmud, in the volume Ta'anit, page 23 on the A side. They remind us of the necessity to invest many years in Torah study in order to attain worthwhile, clear understanding. By the way, carobs is what the Rashbi, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and his son sustained themselves on when they were hiding in the caves for 12 years.
Yes. I mean, I would always say, like, if I had to eat carobs for 12 years, I would also come out of the cave and burn everybody alive.
Yeah, but what happened? A voice from heaven cried out, says, "Go back to your cave until you can calm down and tolerate other people's existence."
Yes.
It's like, okay. So, and number 12, pears of different strains still maintain a close affinity.
Yeah.
Okay. See Mishnah, subject of Kilayim, 1, number 4. Okay. Now the blessings. Fruits grow because God wills them to do so. Not to recognize this by saying a blessing is to put the entire creation in jeopardy. Basically, if you don't say a blessing, it's like you're saying that you don't recognize that God grows the fruit, and therefore you're putting the entire creation in jeopardy, because this creation pretty much, God sustains it as long as someone or enough people recognize that it's him. Yeah. That's maintaining it. Okay? Yeah. I think we talked about those people. Yeah. So, moreover, the blessings before eating help us to focus our minds on the vital energy and potential for elevation of the food, not just its taste. When he says elevation, he's talking about these souls that are trapped in the food. These souls that come from the worlds of chaos that we've talked about a number of times. Okay, so to eat without pronouncing food is appropriate blessing constitutes theft. I'll say that again. To eat without first pronouncing the appropriate blessing constitutes theft. Not only is it taking without proper acknowledgement, it is depriving the world of the divine beneficence that could have been channeled into it by means of the blessing. Yeah. Now, I wanted to mention something. Remember we were talking about, or you mentioned Never-Ending Story for a moment? Yeah. Okay. There's a point in the movie at the very end where the childlike empress is talking to the main character of the movie in the story, Atreyu, right? He's like the boy on his horse. Remember, like so he's the hero of the story, right? Yeah. And then on top of that, you have the main hero, are the little boy reading the story, right? Yeah. Whose name was Bastian, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. So the kid is reading the story, and at the very end of the story, and the whole fantasy world, which they call Fantasia, is getting destroyed by something called the Nothing, whatever. Okay, and then the boy in Atreyu, right, the little figure in Fantasia, he finally gets to speak to the Empress. Yeah. He went through a long journey, and it was very difficult, and he finally got to speak to the Empress. Yeah. And then she's explaining to him why their world is being destroyed, and who can save it. And then he's like, well, so who could save it? He goes, there's a little human child that's reading the story, and only he can save it. And so the kid who's reading the story started to freak out a little bit. He goes, they couldn't be talking about me, could they? Yeah. Right? Yeah. And then literally says in the text that the childlike empress, who a child was too much adult expression, by the way, right? an unsettling amount,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
of adult expression.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it looks like an adult who's miniaturized.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like like a grown person.
By design.
Somebody shot like.
By design.
But it was, it was not. It was unsettling. Okay, she was like saying, "Bastion, please, just and he's like, what? The kid was reading the story. He's like, I can't believe this. This can't be. They can't really be talking about me. Like, I'm not that important. I'm just a little boy. And then she's like, come on, just all you got to do is give me a new name, right? So then he finally gets up the courage to accept it as reality, and he screams out the name, and then the story, and then everything kind of works out. Okay,
Yeah.
like people, if you want to see the movie, I'm not going to tell you the whole story. Watch the movie. Okay, so that, by the way, then so I should actually say after he calls out the name, the childlike empress appears to him.
Yeah.
Okay, and she, they start talking, and he sees that it's real, and then he even flies on the luck dragon, and he goes to Fantasia himself, and it's unbelievable. Okay, so that is a very important metaphor, I believe, for our time, because this is the thing. This is the thing about being it explains to you what a human being actually is. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The human being is that boy.
Yeah.
Okay? The entire universe outside of Earth,
Yeah.
including all the physical worlds and all of the spiritual universes, are Fantasia in this metaphor.
Yeah.
They literally all rely upon us, okay?
Yeah.
To do what we are supposed to do here in order that they exist. That their existence is maintained.
To imagine it, to yeah.
Okay? So think about it like this. Here's what a human being is. We are a pipe.
Yeah.
We are a conscious pipe. The pipe, its origin, it starts off in, right inside of God, allegorically speaking. Not even, but literally speak. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Instead of a pipe, think about, it's an umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's pull it a pipe, a conduit. Okay.
Yeah.
And it starts from God, and then it extends all the way down to this world. Even though there is really no physical. In reality, there is no physical distance or space or anything like that. That's just an illusion. But whatever.
It's right here. Figuratively speaking.
We're talking about the illusion right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and all the blessing and all the existence that God lends to the creation flows through us. Yes, literally through you. If you're listening to this and you're a human being, then yes, through you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is specifically true with Jews and potentially true with every human being.
Yeah.
Okay? So all that means is that on the level of consciousness, Jews are a little bit closer to being able to quickly actualize that reality. Meaning it's true for everyone, but the people who are the closest to actually being able to treat that as real are Jewish people.
How do we?
Okay, that's what it means to be an Israelite.
How do we convince the rest of us, meaning the 90% of Jews who don't understand that? It's so sad. It's actually the saddest thing.
It starts by hearing this idea.
Do you know what's saddest to me is the fact that there are frum Jews who don't understand what you're saying. It's one thing
because they're cultural. Because their Jewish reality is a cultural thing. It's not something that's real at every
But
point.
These people are doing daf yomi. These people are minyan 3 times a day in daf yomi. It's not like cultural like brisket and whatever. It's like they do more than I do.
Dude, it's the same reason, like, for instance, like, if you try to say to a person, the spiritual world that we're describing all the time, that we're talking about, that we're, that's in our prayers and in our text, that could be the tachyon universe where the particles, they resonate faster than the speed of light. They're like, huh? Yeah. It's the same, you're saying it's the same disconnect.
It's the same reaction.
What Rabbi Bax was trying to do was to reconnect the spiritual realities with its reality within the laws of the universe. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's not some nebulous, mental space where you go to when you're scared.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yep.
Okay. So basically, so we are these conduits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we control how much life, literally, because God has to lend existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
God is existence.
Yeah.
He's not, can't say he is existence. There's nothing you could say about God.
Mm-hmm.
We know that God owns existence.
Mm-hmm.
He created existence, and he lends it to us. Anything that exists it's like Rush Limbaugh says, talent on loan from God.
Mm-hmm.
That's true about existence. It's true about everything, really.
Yeah.
Existence, we exist because God loans it to us.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so basically, in order for the rest of the universe, meaning anybody that's not people, that's not human beings, to get existence, it comes through us. We are the pipe.
Yeah.
Not only that, here's the terrifying thing, and I'm totally I'm not a fan of this system, by the way. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's the reality. The reality is like this: we are conscious pipes.
Yeah.
We are pipes that have the ability to shut ourselves off. Even if God is sending life and mercy and sustenance to all to all of the existence in the universe, we, by our decisions, have the ability to shut it off, and so that means that some part of existence is not getting what it needs.
Do you know that the latent Jew, the latent and late Jew, Christopher Hitchens used to call this whole thing that you're describing a celestial dictatorship. And you know what's interesting? He was right. You know, this Reform rabbi debated him. I remember I went to this debate. I think I told you about this. 2008 or something like that, and he was like, "No, that's not how we describe it. It's not like some, man in a beard sitting on a, throwing lightning bolts and this." But now that I think about it, it is a celestial. I would rather have that dictatorship, so to speak.
No, but who's the dictator here?
Yeah, exactly.
It's us.
It's us because
it's
we're
not even God.
I know.
Even though God just lets us be dictators, which sucks.
Yeah, it does suck because we have something called guilt and conscience, and
that's not even
and
that.
Self
it's because,
what is it called? Self not awareness, but self analyzation. What's his name?
It's like giving a Scud missile to a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Giving the button. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It doesn't make sense.
That's true.
It seems cruel to do that.
Well, listen,
that's not even in this conversation.
It's not cruel because what's his name even said that an unexamined life is not worth living.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that there are people who have power who are not like they shouldn't have it.
No, that's something. Yeah, that's for sure. That's something else. Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with this kind of reality, you're vulnerable to that. Okay.
Of course.
And that means like, look, dude, look. Here's what I'm really saying. I want to boil it down. When you're on Facebook or when you're walking on the street and you see a story about like a cat with a broken jaw, right? That's dragging its back legs, and that no one was nice to it for literally like 8 years, and somehow it survived in agony the whole time, and then finally someone picked it up and brought it to a shelter, and now they're giving it some medical attention, right? Yeah. Why did that happen to the cat?
Yeah.
Because some human being didn't open their pipe.
I know.
The cat was supposed to get some mercy and life and love and whatever it needs to live a happy cat life. It didn't get it because some prick turned off his valve. Probably me. I'm not blaming others. I'm not like floating above the rest of us. I'm really talking about myself. I'm the 2-year-old with the button to the Scud missile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So basically that's what I'm saying. So here's the reality. We are conduits, we're pipes, and we control how much life and mercy and sustenance this world gets, meaning every other creature. There's some fish, there's a deer, that broke its leg because you fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the unfortunate reality. Okay, a terrifying, unfortunate reality, which I think is a bad idea. Yet, I don't think God didn't ask me my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think he should have, but he didn't. Okay, So basically, that's what we are. Okay, now, and it's a lot. So again, that people need to hear this and truly understand it and internalize it. Okay,
what do you think of this?
And here's, go ahead.
Jamie Foxx just took a picture with Dr. Shmakala together.
Really?
Yeah. In the words of Denzel Washington, won't say it. My something. You want to go home or you want to go to jail? And
by the way, if there are actual, like, if there are aliens or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying those are Tic Tacs. I'm just saying if there's like actual, creatures coming to visit, they're coming here to figure out like what is going on. Why is my galaxy not getting the stuff that it needs? Why is every planet crumbling? Why is every Krypton falling apart? It's because there's a guy named Shlomo who's got to say a brach or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. But that's reality. That's what it is. Okay? So anyway, that's kind of the basic model of existence. So people should hear this at least. And then the next step is to understand that it's real, and then to take the proper steps to... now, again, why do I actually believe this? Right? It sounds like... like if like I'm not a person who would normally accept something like that. It doesn't seem logical. Okay, so again, I keep going back to I've seen for the last 25 years plus constant evidence that the Torah is a document that is supernatural, that is divine, only divine. And because of its math, okay?
Yeah.
So because the Torah itself as a document is divine, so that when I read what it says, it has a special weight of reality to me. You understand?
Yeah.
So the Torah says that. That's why I am discussing this as if it's real, because it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have to just bring that up every now and then, okay? Because this is a very extreme idea, which doesn't make it not true. It's true. Okay. So I'm gonna finish reading the.
Yeah, sure. Please.
Because this really plays into what we just talked about. So eating a fruit for the first time in its season is considered one of the appropriate occasions for the special blessing of Shehecheyanu. This is a special blessing. It says, "Blessed are you, Hashem, who granted us life, sustained us, and enabled us to reach this occasion." Okay. Now, everyone should make an effort to have available a fruit over which to recite this blessing on this holiday, Tu B'Shvat. By the way, both the Shehecheyanu blessing and the blessing for the fruit, which is Borei Pri Ha'etz, are being made over the same piece of fruit. Most authorities, halachic authorities, state that the Shehecheyanu should be said first. Okay? Now, here's where it gets interesting. So we have tikkunim, spiritual rectifications. In Kabbalah, the flow of God's beneficence is called, now listen to this, the tree of life. We just talked about the flow of God's beneficence, right?
Yeah.
And we're the conduits of it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this flow of God's beneficence is called the tree of life. The roots above in God's essence, the fruit here below. By eating fruit on this day, we rectify and increase this flow. Okay? The Ari, that's the Arizal, teaches us that while eating fruit on Tu B'Shvat, one should reflect on the error that Adam and Chava made, that they ate forbidden fruit, right? And now we're eating these permitted fruit to rectify that. this holiday is the holiday which rectifies the sin
That's crazy.
that got us into the situation in the first place.
That's crazy, man.
So Rabbi Meir from the Talmud,
Which
he says the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil was a grape. Rabbi Nehemiah says it was a fig.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Yehuda says it was wheat.
Mm-hmm.
Talmud in Talmud Berachot 40 page 48. So see their reasons. You can look there to see the reasons. Notice that no one said apple, by the way.
I know.
Okay. There's another opinion that it was a citron.
By the way, this is bringing us back to the beginning of this conversation about tikkunim of Esav.
Well, it's all, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely. So now here's the 30 fruits thing. Rabbi Chaim Vital, who was all the writings and all the knowledge we have from the RE is because Rabbi Chaim Vital wrote it down. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
So Rabbi Chaim Vital explained that there are 30 fruits which parallel the 10 spirot as they are manifest in each of the 3 lower spiritual worlds. Okay? The 3 lower worlds are Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiya.
Mm-hmm.
So Beriah is spiritual, Yetzirah is spiritual, Asiya is mostly spiritual, but the very bottom of it is our physical universe. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, Beriah is far removed from the realm of impurity. Did you say something, dude?
No, I just cleared my throat.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so Beriah is far removed from the realm of impurity and is represented by those fruits which are wholly edible, meaning fruits that have soft cores such as apples and pears, okay, and with cookable skins, like, for instance, like lemons and oranges. No, I'm sorry. Let me back up. Fruits with soft cores, such as apples and pears, okay, and those fruits with cookable skins, like lemons and oranges, are considered totally edible, even if those parts are undesirable. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Yetzirah is a lesser level of purity. Okay, hold on. Just a moment.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I just took, preventatively speaking, Shmeichsi Shmoo and some Zishmak. Your brother's thing, not the other thing. Can I drink wine in an hour?
No.
Okay, good.
But you should do it anyway.
What does that even mean?
Well, it means that antibiotics, you're not supposed to drink alcohol when you're taking antibiotics, but it is Tu B'Shvat, so I don't know. You make the decision. Physical or spiritual?
Let's not. You know why? Because I have this kind of. They say that the new stuff, so Chas v'Shalom, I have it, but the new stuff stays just in your throat, and I have this kind of. It could just be like a sore throat. Stam.
You could have some grape juice. Like try to dilute it heavily. You know what I mean? Just the kind of for the mitzvah itself.
Yeah.
You don't have to drink a lot, by the way. It doesn't sound like 4 full.
No, I know. It's just a little like for the bracha. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah. Okay, so Beriah is far removed from the realm of impurity.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. I'm backing up a little bit. Beriah is far removed from the realm of impurity and is represented by those fruits which are wholly edible. Fruits with soft cores, such as apples and pears, and with cookable skins, like lemons and oranges, are considered totally edible. Okay? And so that's related to Beriah. So even if those edible parts are not really desirable, but they're still edible. Now, Yetzirah, which is considered our heaven, by the way, is a lesser level of purity and is represented by those fruits of which all is eaten except for a pit on the inside. Okay? Now, Asiya, which is the world we are in, can be described as being the realm that we experience in which evil exerts a powerful attraction. It is represented by those fruits which are enclosed in a totally inedible protective shell, like a coconut, I guess.
Yeah.
So, for example, I'm sorry. Back up. Okay. For 4 cups of wine or at least a few sips. Okay, the spirit of the occasion includes drinking white wine at the beginning of the Seder and red wine at the end. Some are accustomed to drink 4 cups parallel to Passover night.
Yeah.
The first is all white. The second, mostly white. The third, half and half. And the fourth, mostly red. Why? See the discussion of the 4 worlds in 30 Fruits above. Okay. Classic thoughts. A quote. A land of wheat and barley and grapevines and figs and pomegranates. A land of a land of oil olives and date honey. That's from Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 8. Haroset, which is used for the Passover Seder, should be made from those fruits to which Israel is compared in Song of Songs. Okay, that's from Tosafot, Pesachim 116a.
Yeah.
Rabbi Elazar would eat less and save money during the week or during the year in order to be able to eat all the new fruits on Tu B'Shvat. That means he would have to save money in order to be able to afford special fruits for this holiday. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, we have a tradition from Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech of Dino, who also is better known as the B'nai Yissaschar.
Yeah.
So we have a tradition to pray on Tu B'Shvat that God should make available for us a kosher and especially a beautiful etrog in time for Sukkot. After Sukkot, we fry the etrog that we used for the 4 species on for the 4 species, and on Tu B'Shvat we eat it. I didn't do that, so now I don't have any etrog to eat.
Yeah.
I can smell it. I can put it on the table.
You could smell it. You could smell it. Bloop, bloop. You could smell it.
Yeah. To eat. Yeah. Okay. To eat many different fruits on this day, and to recite various passages and praises while doing so, is a wonderful spiritual anchoring. That's from Pre-Eitz Chadat. Okay. Which is a book written by one of the Arizal's students about this. It's a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Okay. Now before that was the end of this kind of like short article. I wanted just to kind of touch upon something which I thought was incredible. So we were talking about rectification of the world, right? That's the theme, because Tu B'Shvat is the holiday which focuses specifically on what we're doing here in the first place. Remember, this is the new year, the renewal of the trees, right? The tree. Think about it. Everything started because of a tree, right?
Yeah.
We took the tree of life and turned it into the tree of death, right? The Eitz Chaim is the tree of life, and the tree of the intimate mixing of the knowledge of good and evil is caused death. So we want to get out of this situation, and we want to eat from the tree of life.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, we just learned that the tree is a conduit, and we are the tree. Okay. Not only did we eat from the tree, we are the tree.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the diagram of the Sfirot, you have like the 3 columns, right? The 10 Sfirot arranged in 3 columns. They call that the tree of life diagram.
Well.
But that's also the diagram of the human being.
Yeah.
So we are the tree of life. We have to rectify again. So we are bringing life to this world. We are the tree.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially when we resonate with the Torah, especially with the Kabbalah, which is also the tree of life.
Yeah.
All of these things are overlapping. So everything that's called the tree of life, right, seems to be scattered all over the place, right? But we have to recombine it. We have to gather ourselves and put ourselves back together. That's called teshuvah.
Yeah.
Right? Sounds like a lot of the same letters and word as Tu B'Shvat.
Yep. Makes sense.
I wonder if it's the same. I wonder if Tu B'Shvat is could it be a permutation of the word teshuvah? Is there any way to check that? Let's see. How do you spell Shvat in Hebrew? I'm not trying to be a douche. I actually,
No,
it's not like I did this ahead of time. I'm just wondering.
Here. No,
On the spot.
Here.
How do you say Shvat in Hebrew?
I'm trying.
How do you spell it?
Here. Yeah. Tu b'shvat shuva. Here you go.
Teshuv.
Here. Shuva with the earth. See, there's all these like, you know who enjoys this holiday? All these like conservative whatever people.
No, because it's very festive.
Yeah, it's
You know,
festive.
it's
It's
nature
it's
and it's
festive.
festive,
Yeah, they
it's
like it.
agrarian.
Environmentalists. Yeah.
No, not that. It's just it's like some, you know, like you have like hippies, you know, dancing around in the field.
tree hugger. Yeah.
Okay, so Shabbat is spelled Shin Bet Tet, and there is no Tet in the word Teshuva. It's Tav.
Yeah.
But phonetically, it's remarkably similar.
Yeah.
All right, there's a lot of the same elements. So, basically, hang on. So what's interesting is that, so again, just going back, we are we're trying to rectify what happened. We ate from a tree, which means that we did something to ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We altered ourselves. We altered our consciousness in a non-positive way. Okay, Tu B'Shvat is when we are trying to correct that, to realign it, and to become the conduit, the pipe that the world needs to receive its blessing and its mercy, so that God can finally have mercy on all of His creatures.
Yeah.
Okay, with cats and dogs and animals and even like it's people lying in the hospital. It's not a good time. It's never been a good time for the past 6,000 years. It's really bad. It's awful. It's actually insane.
Yep.
So what's interesting is that I went to that website, the Trugmans.com in Gematria.
Yeah.
And I typed in just because episode 41. So you can represent 41 as Mem Aleph.
Yeah.
So I was like, so the first occurrence of Mem Aleph is in chapter 3, verse 20 of Bereshit.
Mm-hmm.
And the verse is like this. Vayikra ha'adam. And Adam called Shem the name of Ishto, his wife.
Yeah.
Chava.
Interesting.
You're
saying he named her?
He named her Chava because it is Haitod was Aim Kol Chai, the mother of all life. Mm-hmm. So the word Aim is 41. Okay, so we are reminded that. Why did he say that she's the mother of all life? Like, why was that? Like, it's because first of all, the word Chava or the name Chava doesn't really, you think of the word Chai, not Chav, right, as related to life. Mm-hmm. So her name originally was Chaya, but when she participated in the tree debacle, right? Mm-hmm. So just like we were like altered in a negative way, so the change of her name from Chaya to life to Chava, which is reminiscent of the word Chivia in Aramaic, which means snake, right? So that because she was influenced by the snake, so the Yud in the middle of her name was dragged down to the form of a snake, the Vav.
Yeah.
Okay. So Chava. So and then it reminds us that she was Chayta was Aim Kol Chai, the mother of all life. So she was the tree who brought down life, because remember, her and Adam both, but especially her. Okay, she brings life because she was the whole point of existence. Anything that's created last is the point of the whole project in the first place. Mm-hmm. From that, with God, the way God does stuff. Okay, so Chava was the last creation, wasn't she? Adam, but then Chava was taken from Adam, right? So she's like she represents the most refined, aspects of Adam, right? So like Adam was almost like some kind of like a stepping stone to get to Chava, right?
Yeah.
Like he was formed from all the destroyed consciousnesses of all the previous universes, right, that were destroyed, and then God infused. He took all those shattered consciousnesses, kind of gathered them up. That's the dust. That's the dirt that he was made out of. Okay, and then he infused a godly soul into it, and then all that dirt was refined. It became a much higher substance, right? And then from that already refined substance, God made Chava, who was extra refined. She was the final product. That's why she's connected to Malchut, right? Malchut.
Yeah.
Okay. So the fact that this is a reminder that she is the mother, aim of all life, meaning she is the conduit of life, as a mother is.
Yeah.
Right? She delivers the life, doesn't she? The life represents all the blessing that God wants to send into this world, right? So, and it's amazing that, all of these ideas that we've been talking about, right? And, we're thinking 41, right? So, and she's the primary person involved in creating the situation where we have to observe Tu B'Shvat. Would you not agree?
Yeah. For sure.
There's your 41 Tu B'Shvat, brother.
Oh.
Aim. Aleph Mem. 41.
Dope.
Now there's another, a couple of just, there is in chapter 9, verse 21, it says,
And Bush was the 41st president.
And Bush was the 41st president, right? And you're 41.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm 41 years old, Baruch Hashem.
Okay. So, Vayeshet min hayayin, and he drank from the yayin. Vayishchar, and he got drunk. Vayit gal, and he revealed, he was revealed in the midst, ahala, of his tent. We're talking about Noah here.
Mm-hmm.
This is unbelievable. Because when Noah drank wine and got drunk, this was a replay of the sin with the tree of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so the word ochala, his tent, which is actually written like the word ochala should be written, if you want to say it's his tent, it's translated as his tent, because we're talking about Noah, right?
Yeah.
But it's spelled Aleph Het Lamed Hey. That means in reality, according to grammar, her tent.
Yeah.
If there's a dot in the center of the Hey, the last letter of the word, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have that dot here. Okay? But still, it's spelled that's not normally the way the word his tent is spelled. Right? That's much closer to her tent. Yeah. Now the word ahala, which usually means her tent, but here in reference to Noah replaying the tree of the tree of knowledge of good and evil mistake, right? That word ahala, that's 41. Yeah. Aleph, Hey, Lamed, Hey, 41. So we have two 41s here, both falling upon or reminding us of the sin, the error that was made with the tree, which we are rectifying. And this is episode 41. That's communication straight for you and me and whoever's going to listen to this, whoever listens to us. Like that's direct, because God communicates with numbers, right? So, Greg, you sleeping? I put you to sleep, right?
I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm just...
Son of a gun.
It's just funny. If you look at this funny, speaking of New World Seder, If you look at this funny, I mean, it's not funny. It's like that that triangle that they made, where they show the hierarchy of who's who and controlling what and whatever it is. So if you go all the way to the top, they have this thing called the Shmamidi of 300.
Where are you looking at this?
This is like the typical here. I'll send you the picture, the photo. There's two different photos that I've dug up. So my question is, it's interesting, not to say that I necessarily hold by this whatever. I mean, I hold by the general idea. I don't know if I hold by this particular rubric. I sent you both of them. So at the top, very top, you have in one of them the crown schmelzel of 13, which is interesting. The other one you have the crown schmelzel of 13, world's richest families, and above that a world monarch. Who the heck is that?
Who came up with this? I have a feeling that whoever made this.
It's like the counter. It's like the what are the disinformation people? The not misinformation, but disinformation people.
I have a feeling that you're not going to be able to invite these people over for Shabbos.
Yeah, for sure not. See, it says the Astor bloodline, the Bundy, the Collins, the DuPont, Freeman, Kennedy, Lee, Onassis, Rockefeller, Russell, and Van Duyn, Merovingian, and Rothschild. Interesting.
Merovingian.
Yeah.
The Merovingians. That
yes.
Sounds like Meruvain, right?
Yeah. Here, who are these guys? Merovingian dynasty is from the family of the Franks.
Yeah, the Franks were the
Germanic peoples.
Germanic tribes that took over France, and France was the capital of the Holy Roman Empire during its time.
So who the heck is the guy? Who is this? Who is the monarch? Is the question. He's probably like the anti-Mashiach.
It's not me. It's not me. Artemilus.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
What's the other one say?
The other one just shows, it shows like like we are debt slaves, birth, school, labor taxes, debts, retirement, that whole jazz. That's why the Torah is so important, man. It gets you out of this crap, this mentality. Birth, school, labor, taxes, debt, that's the stuff we've been talking about. And then above us is population resource equals labor units, right? So it's like us working. And then on top of that is the religious institutions, governments, education, media. Above that, then you get population control. Then above that, corporations. Then world resource control. So I think what's his name, Schmates, is in those three things. And then above that is the IMF, World Bank, central banks, tax revenue, interest revenue, Bank of International Settlements. Then above that is World Financial Control. Then you got think tanks, all these like Trilateral Commission, Council of Foreign Relations, Club of Rome, United Nations, then think tanks above them, and then powerful sub-families, then Committee of 300, whoever those guys are, world's richest sub-families, and then Crown Council of 13.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah.
We have to observe the Tu B'Shvat observances now, so we can do my little part of rectifying
Alrighty.
the tree thing, and I'm going to get to it right now before my wife goes to bed.
Perfect. So.
And I suggest you get to it.
Yeah, I'll do that too. So we can counter the effects of whatever I just described to you.
Yeah, it upsets me on many levels to see that.
Yeah.
We have to worry about it because all these people, even if this hierarchy is real, they don't really know that they just have been serving as puppets.
Of course.
For God, and we know they're not going to win. We know.
Of course not.
So that's not even. I have no concern about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I just kind of no reason to really look at them.
Yeah.
So, all right.
It's been real.
I'm calling it early just to make this happen.
It's all good. 2 hours, 40 minutes is good enough.
Really? Damn.
Yeah.
All right. A lot of jibber jabber.
The New World Seder, my friend.
All right, do it up. Make it happen. Let the people hear it.
By the way, yes, and 42 is actually in that book, so we'll go over 42 next time.
It is.
Obviously.
Dude, 42 could be one of the biggest ever because it's the Anabakoach.
Oh, nice.
The shame.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
Yeah.
Mambet. It's big. Okay.
Awesome. All right, man. Talk to you soon, and
yes, sir.
Tu b'shvat sameach.
Tu b'shvat sameach. Let's rectify.
Later.
Take care.
Bye.